You damn right. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. Wow, it turned into a whole different kind of Tuesday in one moment last night, and we will definitely get to it. Certainly there was a chance we were going to be here talking about an NBA Finals game and the Longhorn baseball team not being involved anymore. We knew that was a possibility, but I don't think anybody thought that it could end like that. Longhorn fans, we say it all the time. We are your therapy a lot of the times. Today, we will pull out that big leather couch again. You lay down and talk about whatever that was for you. Whoa. It's Chad and Zay. I'm Chad Hastings, and he is a Longhorn fan that was watching last night too, expecting extra innings, and then he got that. He is Isaiah Collier. What's up, Zay?
What up? What up? What up? Happy Tuesday, everybody. I mean, wow, you're right, Chad. Just a brutal night last night. Love this team. This team has a lot of heart, but sometimes it doesn't go your way, and that's what we saw.
Man, it was the one sport above all else where I hear, watch long enough, you'll see something you've never seen. It's baseball. You could say that about other sports in certain ways. It always seems to happen with baseball. 2 or 3 times during the year, my dad calls me or I call my dad, and I'll say that to him. Hey, man, watch long enough, you'll see something you've never seen. Guess what I saw? Blah, blah. We'll go through this thing and whatever it was. A different way of scoring an error that we'd never heard about. This happened, that happened. A bird flies onto the field and causes some situation. But last night, y'all going to have to help me figure out another something to compare that to, because I've never seen that in a big time game, in the, in a playoff scenario. I've never seen a game end like that. So y'all are going to need to help me. It was an incredible 3 games. I don't know why the baseball gods decided to punish us that way at the end, because up until that moment, the theater had been fascinating. Texas had their opportunities, runners on base, couldn't get them home. One of our listeners texted us. That's when they bailed out. Said it was disheartening. After that 3-run lead, after 6 innings, it looked insurmountable. So at one point, this fan ducked out at 6-3.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't see the actual ending of the game. But then Texas showed that patience that they showed in game 1. They fight all the way back, and it looks to every eyeball in that stadium like it's headed to extra innings. And for it to end in a moment like that, I've never seen it. Zay, I feel for you. I feel for every Longhorn fan out there. Again, y'all went into it knowing you could lose. You're not dumb. You know you could lose that game. But there's nobody that could have thought you'd lose it like that.
No, and it's heartbreaking, and my heart goes out to Eric Kennedy and Dylan Campbell. I know they're feeling it, and it's just, it's not even an era. It's just, I don't even know what to call it either. It was absolutely brutal. And again, this team has so much heart. Think about losing to Oklahoma in this season, getting swept and where we were then going to the Big 12 tournament and losing those 2 games the way that they did against Kansas and Kansas State, and how good they looked last weekend in South Beach. Then what we saw on Friday, the heart that they showed being down 3 runs in the 9th and winning that game. And I didn't have a good feeling going into last night, but that team, they showed that fighting heart throughout the game, going down 3, coming back, tying it, going down 3 again, coming back, tying it. And then what we saw, just the lights. That's just all it was, blinded by the light. And you think about home field advantage and what could have been if they would have done decent in the Big 12 tournament, if they would have hosted at the Dish, field that they knew, where Stanford, they know that field very well. Mm-hmm. Not saying that they couldn't have made that same mistake. They might have to, but...
And by the way, they technically did.
Yeah.
I mean, in game 1, they lost 1 too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it was a lie. I think it was just both those guys. There was bad communication.
There was some communication issues, but I think who knows? Maybe it played into it. Maybe it didn't. But, yeah, the fact that it happened, a weird situation in the outfield happens to the home team, and then it comes back to get the road team in a way like that. Just, that's crazy.
Bowser's tough, man. Like, he is tough. If it was somebody that would have happened to on the Stanford team, it'd be him because he was killing us all weekend long.
Yeah.
Like, he took a Tanner Wet bomb early and got him out the game. And I was like, well, here we go. And again, this team just has a lot of heart, kept fighting, and this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for David Pierce. We weren't really talking about Omaha early in February and stuff. Everybody was just kind of like, well, hopefully this is going to be a fun season because we know the expectations here at the University of Texas when it comes to this baseball team, and everybody was kind of like, well, I don't have high hopes. And they proved us wrong. And anytime you don't get to Omaha, yeah, it sucks. Definitely sucks how the way it happened. But I think a lot of people, when the hurt ends, which it probably never will, but when it lessens, I think you'll be able to reflect on this team and remember it as a tough one that fought really hard through everything that's happened during the season.
As you reflect on it, let us know what you think. Specs text line 337-3776. Somebody texted, I'm still shooketh. I think a lot of fans could understand that one. Says that was a terrible loss. Got to stay with them. Obviously, we would expect that. Yes, of course, from a Texas baseball fan. Says that our man CB, that was one of the wildest, strangest, heartbreaking, greatest college baseball games of all time. That's probably fair. Says, as a Longhorn fan, I truly hate Texas sports. Not even shocking anymore. Maybe they think that comes with it. I've never seen that, though. Come on. I don't think anybody would have predicted that exact thing would happen to anybody, much less Texas.
Well, I thought the baseball gods were on our side when Rios thought he went yard and ended up being short. Their whole team. I was like, oh, man, here we go. Wait a minute. And he took his helmet off, which I know there's a big hoopla about that and the rules, which at that point, thank goodness the blue didn't call that. Like, if it was the shoe was on the other foot and Texas had that,
right?
Like, somebody took off their helmet because they thought it was yard and stuff. Like, people, we're excited. If you win this game, you go to Omaha. I get this is college baseball. Like, that's the beauty of it. He made a mistake. I get a lot of Texas fans are salty about him taking off his helmet or whatever. That loss hurts too, but it's a good job they didn't make that call. But I thought that was gone. And when the Horns got a second chance, I was like, oh, bet. We good. Mm-hmm. Like, this is going to be one of those, just like on Saturday night. This is going to be one of those games where they just fight hard and make it dramatic, and somehow we're going to finesse our way to Omaha. And again, I remember seeing this clip on Steve Kerr, who's really cool with Jay Wright, and they were on Team USA together for basketball with Pop. And he asked Jay Wright, he's like, yo, man, when y'all hit that game-winning shot against North Carolina to win the championship, why didn't you didn't celebrate? You remember that? He didn't celebrate. He just kind of, was stone face, Jay Wright. And he told Steve Kerr, he was like, yeah, because only thing I could think of at the time was Roy Williams and the hurt that he had. And, like, that's low-key how I feel. I'm not, like, feeling like a Texas fan, this hurts me. I'm feeling for Dylan Campbell and Eric Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like, just thinking about how good those guys were. That throw that Dylan Campbell had to third, Chad, on a rope.
That's what we should have been talking about today had they won the game.
On the rope, yo.
Or even if they lost normally.
Oh, Cardinal Black, that's what I was calling the whole time because you remind me of Crunchy Black, dark-skinned brother that was playing on right field. I was calling him that the whole series. It was fun messing with him, especially how he mucked up on Saturday. He thought he was good. He thought he had, this ain't nothing. Old way in right field. I play right field. That's probably what he was thinking. He was like, ain't no way he gonna throw me out for here. I got the Jets. Sure enough, that thing was on a rope. And again, that was one of the best plays I've ever seen. Like, that was ridiculous in that time, and just the momentum that was swung after that play, and for that to happen afterwards to Dylan Campbell.
One inning later.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I feel for those guys. I really do.
The diving catch he made earlier in the playoffs, the catch that Kennedy made earlier in the playoffs, for those guys to be near the ball landed, 4 to 6 feet away from Campbell. Only guy that really saw the ball was Daly, who couldn't get there. Mm-hmm. And if your second baseman's able to sprint back there and make the play, that would have been unreal. But you essentially had, 3, I guess it's technically 4 guys that were there that for a lost in the lights to end a game like that, a tie game, super regional deciding game. It's nothing I've ever seen.
Janky-ass lights.
I mean, you could maybe somebody texted us, how many lumens did those lights have? Holy mackerel, I feel bad for those who played their last game last night and for it to end that way. Exactly.
Well, I heard y'all got hosed the previous week because of the lights and them being janky, like a couple of times. You're Aggies?
Is that right?
Yeah. Like, y'all got hosed a couple of times, which, y'all probably just had bad fielding being y'all. But, at the end of the day, I would
expect that reaction. Yeah, I was going to say,
I'm hurting.
But nobody believed the Aggies, of course. That's not happening.
Hey, I'm hurting. I need to throw a jab when I can. Come on, Stanford. Like, I get it. Boston Garden, back in the day, Red Auerbach, they had the cracks in the court too that only Bird and Parrish and McHale, all those guys knew. And if you came to play, you wouldn't know. And sometimes the ball would just bounce out of bounds because you think you'd be handling it right. Sometimes you just have a home field advantage. And if that's Stanford's, then, hey, it's hard to knock it. It's just tough at our expense.
So somebody texted us, I don't think this is a joke. The lights aren't high enough.
Lord have mercy.
Maybe that's an issue that Stanford has heard before, but the light poles, like they're not making them high enough? Huh? You're Stanford.
That's what I'm saying.
We're Stanford. You might want to double check on that one, Cardinal.
See, that's why USC and UCLA leaving. Stuff like that, crap like that. And Stanford's going to be trying to figure out what conference to go to.
High enough.
Yeah.
That is weird,
y'all
man.
bullcorn in Stanford.
All right, so this text, again, Specs text line 337-3776 says, team had a great season. Kennedy and Campbell have grown so much as baseball players. It's not their fault we lost the game. It's a credit to them that we were even in it, and certainly they did make great plays. That's where I'll say I think the baseball gods, if they're going to punish you, they punished you with your best guys around. It's not like a Longhorn fan today is going to rip Campbell or rip Kennedy or even rip Daly. They know y'all know those players are good. We understand how good they are. It's just oh my God, in some ways it is the most maddeningly silly game that exists. And as soon as it was done and everybody's running around, one of the announcers, maybe Kyle Peterson, is like, well, it is that time of night. I'm like, wait, y'all know this is happening at Stanford? Somebody texted, Stanford should not be allowed to play a playoff game at night with that crappy lighting.
Sorry, man.
That is so weird. Our man Nate texted, California has regulations about heights on structures. I've seen that on cell phone towers I had to work on. Oh, good grief.
Yo, man.
Could it be that? Somebody else talked about the umpire in the strike zone. Once again, it was
really bad both ways.
Close calls both ways.
Yeah, both ways. It was bad,
stuff.
But yeah, I don't know.
That swipe tag at second base.
Oh man,
so close. Naked eye thought they had it. Naked eye thought that was an out.
Mitchell Daly, he thought it was too.
And then I went back and I looked and I looked and I looked and I'm like, oh my God, I think he might have got there.
Yeah.
Plays at first base that were so close. Stuff just all over the field. Everything was even obviously with that incredible Campbell throw, that tag was close. He definitely got him.
Yeah.
But even that ended up being really, really close.
That play was so ridiculous.
And you are right. That is one of the best throws. I'll bring up my two favorite right field throwers of my life. That's how good it was. Raul Mondesi and Bo Jackson.
Wow.
Those are the two guys I think of when I think of badass torches from right. So, first off, you think about where Dylan Campbell was on the field,
right?
Where his weight was headed at the time, and the fact that he one-hops that thing, it's silly. Mondesi used to do that to guys all the time. Guys thought they could tag from second. No, you can't. Go first to third like this guy was trying to do. No, you can't get there. But Bo's, I think I'm remembering this correctly. If you are old like me, help me. I think it was Bo as a Royal. I think they were in Minnesota. I want to say it was in a dome. And Bo, I think, catches a sac fly. Well, when the guy tries to make it a sac fly from second to third. Guy on second. Bo catches it like a step or two from the wall. He's on the warning track. And Bo either threw a dead-on strike that didn't bounce or it was a one-hopper and got the dude out by like 2 feet.
Yo, man.
And the guy looked like he'd seen a ghost. He was certain, like if his mother had been waiting for him at third, it would have surprised him more than the baseball. It wouldn't have surprised him more than the baseball did.
Right.
He was like, wait, what? those are the guys I thought of as Dylan Campbell makes that play. And then an inning later for that to happen, like you said, the older you get, the more you watch sports, the more you want it to be a badass performance and you want it to be taken, and you don't want it to be that. You don't want Bill Buckner. You don't want Nelson Cruz. I really don't want Nelson Cruz.
Yeah.
But those kind of things, those are the plays you sort of think of.
What about Alou, Cubs? What's my man's name in the
the
stands?
Steve Bartman play?
Steve.
That's something to bring up, but none of those are exactly this.
Yeah.
None of those are exactly, we're tied and we're headed. It'd be like, I was trying to think of what's the only other thing I could come up with is if you're tied in like a World Cup soccer game. It's 1-1 and you know you're going into extra time and somebody's just resetting the ball to the goalie and he screws it up and it goes in on an own goal.
Oh.
Now, thankfully, that hasn't happened in our lives because that person would be killed.
Yeah, like Escobar's.
Would be killed, yes.
Yeah.
But that's all I could think of. Or hockey, right? Some weird thing, puck just gets by you in the last 5 seconds and you're going to extra time. That's sort of what that was. It was absolutely terrible. Let us know how you experienced that. I'm assuming a lot of folks were in the same situation. Jaws hanging open. You couldn't believe it. Texas losing 7-6. So Stanford goes on to the College World Series. Maybe the only silver lining is that Stanford has to play Wake Forest, and Wake might put 20 runs on them in that first game.
Oh, they can't wait. Wake Forest, they can't wait to get to Omaha.
Fair to say you're rooting for Wake in that game?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
I would assume.
I might go buy me a Tim Duncan throwback Wake Forest jersey just because I want them to win that bad.
Some CP3 gear.
Oh, yeah, anything. Anything. I want that ass whooping. 2 and barbecue. Take your ass back home to Palo Alto and get your lights fixed.
Yeah, it all starts on Friday in Omaha, so we'll be following it, not as closely as we were hoping to be, but TCU and Oral Roberts will get that going on Friday. So that's one of the big issues we'll hit today. The other one is the history made by the Denver Nuggets. They are the champs now. They finished it off, an ugly Game 5, but they got it done, 94-89. Not only holding them under 100, Zay, holding them under 90, and just like it has been for most of this series, except for that one game, Denver finds a way to be the better team for 4 quarters.
Yeah, what an impressive run by the Denver Nuggets, and, kind of an old school basketball type of way. We've seen so many super teams and, guys with multiple all-stars on it. They just got one all-star in Nikola Jokic. Now, Jamal Murray, which we'll probably talk about this more this week, he's definitely a top 10 point guard, maybe a top 5 with the performance that he had in the postseason. But, they're not like a Kevin Durant, Steph Curry Warriors team or a LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Miami Heat team. They got it from the mud. They drafted the right way. They made the right trades and getting Aaron Gordon and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They got guys that were slept on and Christian Brown and Michael Porter Jr., who was supposed to be a top 5 pick, but he's had all those back problems, so a lot of people didn't want to take that risk. Denver was willing to take that risk, and it benefited them, and it paid off. So, yeah, they deserve everything. Nikola Jokic, he was great once again. When the Miami Heat went up by 10, I was like, oh, man, the Nuggets, they're really tight. Like we talked about it yesterday, that was the only fear of mine, was they'd be so excited they'd do things out of character. They, be a little nervous, a little anxious because they knew what was at hand, winning at home for first time in 40-something years since the ABA days, David Thompson. So that's been a hot minute, and they played a little tight throughout the whole game, and their leader, their MVP, Joker, he just calmed everybody down and said, hey, give me the ball. If they're just going to play me straight up with Bam Adebayo, I'm going to dominate and go to work. And he did that in the 4th quarter. And Miami, they're just worn out. Like, we talk about the run with the Nuggets, everybody stepped up at different times throughout that run. And so it was like that for Miami, but they just had so many tough games the previous series against the Boston Celtics going to 7. You just knew they weren't going to have much left entering this series. And each game, even though it might be close at times, they would start to get fatigued, especially Jimmy Butler. Like, he wasn't good yesterday. He was good in that 4th quarter, and the refs helped him out a little bit. Like that foul call on the 3, that might have been one of the worst calls. If Miami would have won that game, I would have came in here and said that was one of the worst calls in NBA history. Like, that's the stuff where people think that it's rigged.
And you got a chance to look at it.
Like, that's the Reggie Miller call.
How do you get the chance to look at that call and still leave it alone? And still leave it that way?
That's the Reggie Miller call, because he was duking refs all in the 90s, because he would kick his leg out and he would fall like hell, and he would get that call, and then they start to figure out, okay.
And the other guys are standing
there. The
other
guy's like, what am I supposed to do? No, you got to go straight up and straight down. That's not a natural shooting motion to kick your leg out. It's not. You could go straight up and straight down. Aaron Gordon, that's what he did. He ran right across to get a good contest so he wouldn't, get into Jimmy Butler's space. They called it. It was in his space, and they kind of made that game closer than it really was. And, you talk about Dylan Campbell, Eric Kennedy, and how heartbreaking that was last night for them, dropping that ball. Jimmy Butler's turnover at the end of the game was brutal.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's tough, man, because first he traveled, and they didn't call that. And then he knew he traveled, so he was like, oh, man, I can't believe I got away with it. I need to get the ball out of my hands before they call it. Like, that's what you think. When you almost travel, you think of, I need to get the ball out of my hands before something bad happens, and you kind of panic. And then he threw that turnover to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They knocked down free throws, and it was ball game. And shout out to Bruce Brown. When they were down by 1 point, he had that really good rebound and put back, and a lot of different Nuggets fans are going to remember that for the rest of their lives. Big time, just championship win for the Nuggets. Joker didn't look like he gave a damn. He just wants to go home. That was one of the weirdest exchanges I've ever seen for somebody who's won the finals. Like, think about it. Think about all the greats who won their first ring. Jordan jumping into people's arms. There's the iconic photo of him in the shower when his wife and his pops next to him, and he's crying, holding the trophy. And then Larry Bird, like, jumping up and down, holding his arms. Isaiah Thomas singing, heaven must be like this, all that. While Joker's over here like, I'm trying to go home. The parade. When's the parade? Thursday? Damn, this is messing up. This is messing up what I try to do, but that's who he is. And I kind of marvel him for that. Like, he kind of did the Jay Wright thing that I just mentioned earlier. When the buzzer beeped, everybody was celebrating. He was dapping up the Heat players, saying, good game, great series, this and that. Like, he's a different type of dude, and it's a different superstar, but it's refreshing. It's refreshing to see somebody that's not about himself, that's all about his team. He wants to see his teammates' success. I know you've probably seen the video of him and Jamal Murray where he basically dragged Jamal Murray in the pool. Like, he's a great teammate. He's a great person, and he could care less about the limelight. He could care less about the publicity and having all eyes on him and being the face of the league. He just wants to hoop and be with his family. I love how he puts his wedding ring on his shoe. He saw his daughter out there with him. Like, he's a family guy, and we need that in NBA. We got guys who are getting finessed by porn stars and guys that are twerking guns around. We need more people like Nikola Jokic.
Denver Nuggets win their first title as a franchise. We'll keep going through those big-time numbers that Joker put up. Obviously, Jamal Murray gets a ring. And now, not only is Joker the MVP of the regular season, he's a finals MVP, and he now becomes Joker the Jeweler because he's getting guys some rings, and now it's one. Let's see if it starts to count up. Also up next, and we'll keep talking about the crazy end of the Texas baseball season. We'll also talk some football, NFL-wise. Stephon Diggs not at minicamp. What does it mean? Plus, some comments we'll have later for you from Aaron Rodgers. Lots of football there. And a little later in the hour, without games going on tonight, we'll tell you some things you may want to check out. And there's a story from the weekend we still haven't hit. Plus, we got to talk about this golf thing. U.S. Open coming up, the crazy agreement with the PGA and LIV. Is the U.S. government going to be involved somehow? We got a guest coming up at 1:05, Cam Rogers of the Believe Network, to talk about it. Stay with us. Busy day on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little sinus and snoring specialist. After I was able to figure out what I saw last night at the end of that Texas baseball game, I did watch some coverage of the Nuggets winning, and then I was able to go to bed, get a good night's sleep, thanks to sinus and snoring specialist. Dr. Slaughter and his crew want you to have a great night's sleep. And if you're not, you need to get that looked at. If you have sleep apnea or think you might, I know the feeling. Moderate obstructed sleep apnea is what I had, and I found out I was 85% blocked in my nasal passages. It was really an interesting thing to figure out, and I was able to learn that in the first consultation with Dr. Slaughter. He prides himself on meeting you in that first consultation. They may send you home with the sleep test, just like they did with me. Sleep in whatever position you want. Sleep in your bed so you feel normal there, and they'll be able to use that data to figure out what's going on with you. It is the very latest in ear, nose, and throat stuff, so you can get rid of your allergies for good. You can get rid of sinus issues for good, and yes, you can get rid of that sleep apnea as well. Call and set up an appointment today, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's sinus and snoring specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
I feel like I'm in a movie montage above everything else. I don't think it's them, but it sounds like something Survivor would have been a part of.
Who was in Survivor?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Don't know any names. Is it a single name here?
Yeah, single name.
All right, who is it?
Frank Stallone.
Oh, it's Sly's brother. That's right. I forgot Frank had a song. Wow.
What?
This is his brother. Seriously. I just forgot Frank had a song.
You say like had a song like he wasn't supposed to be a singer.
Right. Like I forgot that Sylvester Stallone's brother actually had a song.
But like he wasn't a musician?
No, I don't think so.
He just dropped the track like Eddie Murphy.
Kind of, yeah. He was sort of.
Did he act?
Maybe B-rate actor or whatever.
Oh.
People barely knew he existed, much less knew he was the brother, much less knew he could sing. Yeah, I don't remember Frank being known as a singer. I could be wrong. The listeners have already told me I was wrong about Bo Jackson in right field throwing that dude out. It was Bo in left, and I said it was in Minnesota. It was in Seattle, and it was Harold Reynolds he threw out, and Reynolds was going first to home on a double. So everything I said about that was wrong, I think, except for Bo Jackson.
Ah, gotcha.
That's all I had right was Bo threw a dude out. That was it. But when I see great throwouts from the outfield like Dylan Campbell pulled off last night, I do think of Bo Jackson. So that's the only connection I can make at this point.
Yo, Bo, shout out to CB for sending us this. Bo shouted out Dylan Campbell on that throw on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's serious.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, Bo was incredible at so many things, but that was definitely one of them. We're going through that heartbreak with Texas baseball, just a crazy, wild ending. Dylan Campbell making that kind of play in the 8th, and then the Longhorns just getting bitten by the weirdest of baseball bugs in the 9th, and especially if it is factual that people saying, no, these lights aren't high enough and they need to deal with that out at Stanford. That might be something to take a look at. I'm just saying, y'all might want to maybe double check that, not to use it as an excuse. I'll say it so y'all don't have to, Longhorn fans. That part is a little crazy. There were a lot of close calls there. Was it 2 Longhorns that appeared to have gotten hit by a pitch that did not get their base?
Yeah, like
Did I see that correctly?
got hit by a pitch and they called him out because he kind of leaned, but not really.
Yeah, and
it was tight.
Well, it really was close.
It was tight though.
That's what I'm saying. Everything was so close in that game. I guess I would just ask you, Zay, if you reverse it and a Stanford batter does that exact same thing, do you want him to be out? I mean,
of course.
Right? You want that to be a strike, don't you?
Yeah.
And it sucked because it was the 3rd strike.
Yeah, just like when Rio's helmet came off, like that was the horns. I wouldn't want that call either.
Yeah. I like the fact that nothing got called there because the helmet had nothing to do with that play, and the guys running on the field thinking he'd hit a home run had nothing to do with the play.
Yeah, he gets penalized because it maybe would have been a triple if he would have just ran it out right off jump.
Yeah. He almost got tagged out. I mean, they got that ball back pretty quick.
Yeah, because he was celebrating.
And
couldn't see nothing.
I couldn't believe that one. The logo on the wall sort of distracted you from it. The announcers thought it was gone. I thought it was gone with the naked eye.
Gone.
That ball hit the bottom of the wall, and we all thought it was out. That was crazy.
Just hokey field, man.
So many weird things about the ending of that game.
Like the sprinklers on Sunday night just randomly going off. Yo, y'all got to get it together, man.
Yeah.
At Stanford, y'all got to get it together. This is the type of anger where I might go saw a tree just because I'm salty.
Yeah.
Cut the tree down, something like that, because I don't know what the payback I'm going to get, but their mascot's a freaking tree.
Yeah, and outside of any, again, if Texas fans or the team or whatever talks about it, it sounds like they're trying to make an excuse. But seriously, if you're a third-party observer, if there is something going on with the lights out there, fix it. You're Stanford baseball. Go fix that. You're going to host regionals and super regionals, and you're going to get put on West Coast time, and they're going to throw you on late. Deal with it. Figure it out.
I mean,
that
they must want it like that.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Again, it bites them in game 1 a little bit of communication, but who knows? Maybe they lost it a little bit in that weird lighting as the sun's going down too. So we've talked about that. We'll continue to talk about the NBA and the Nuggets' first championship. Also, a story to keep your eye on as we are now under 90 days away from the NFL's first Sunday. 89 days till that first Sunday, which means 90 days till Buffalo and New York get after it in the first Monday night game. And Zay, apparently Stefon Diggs is not reporting to the mandatory minicamp yet. So according to the head coach, Sean McDermott, he is saying it is, quote, very concerning to him that he's not there. They started today with the minicamp practice. They have practices tomorrow and Thursday. And there's a report that Diggs was in the facility yesterday, but he didn't report to practice today. Hopefully everything's good with him. When I read very concerning, I thought, wait a minute, do y'all know where he is? You didn't lose the man, did you? Or is there a family issue? Is it something like that? But this so far is a basic kind of football story. And you've talked a lot about this, Zay, in the offseason and the way it ended with them and the weird, complaining version of Stefon Diggs that showed up last year.
Yeah, he was out of line after they lost in the playoffs to the Cincinnati Bengals, trying to leave before coach even got his post-game speech in. And I get it. You're upset because y'all had Super Bowl aspirations and a lot went bad last year, from Von Miller to Damar Hamlin. A lot went bad, which it probably felt like a roller coaster, because how do we focus on football when we have a teammate who's in the hospital that might never play again, let alone live? So there's a lot of emotions going on, and you would think with Damar Hamlin coming back and all those guys on the defense that are coming off the injury that are expected to be healthy in September, Stefon Diggs would come in with a brand new attitude, a more positive attitude. And we still don't know the details of his absence, but it's hard to not think about how he left things at the end of the season. And it's odd that he was there yesterday, but not there today. So did he get into it with somebody? Did something happen?
Right.
As that'll probably come out. I'm also seeing reports that his agent said he'll be back soon. Okay. So who knows what's going on there.
And maybe they showed up for some negotiations and that didn't go well. But remember, he signed a 4-year, $96 million extension last offseason.
Yeah, so I don't know what he's complaining about. If anything, you mentioned that. If anything, he might have tried to talk to him about, hey, can you throw some of that money back so we could get better?
A restructuring conversation.
And that might be the last thing you want to say to a wide receiver.
Right, no, I wouldn't say that.
Those guys, they'll feel offended if you say something like that, what? I'm not good enough to put us over the hump. And, that's when you start pointing fingers and stuff. No, this was the problem last year. Yeah. It ain't me. Ask so-and-so to take less money or so-and-so to give back money who didn't do this and didn't do that, which, looking at that contract, that's pretty hefty. That's a pretty hefty deal for, yes, he's good, but you're on a really good team that has a lot of hopes of going far in the playoffs this year with a franchise quarterback that 90% of the league would love to have. So if somebody asked him that, I could see why he's a little PO'd and not showing up to camp today.
Yeah, so we do not know what it is. Again, that's speculation on our part, just to throw out what could it be? Could it be about negotiations one way or the other? Is it about money? Is it about you hope there's no family situation going on where it's some kind of bereavement, leave or whatever, but that's not what is reported. They by all accounts, they thought he was going to be there, and he wasn't there for practice today. We'll keep our eyes on that story. They have practice again through Thursday this week, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. Also, a little later in the show, we have some Aaron Rodgers sound for you. Aaron Rodgers commenting on the Wilsons, both Zach and the local product, Garrett Wilson. That's coming up a little later. At 1:05, we're going to talk to Cam Rogers of the Believe Network. He covers golf for them, among other things. Talk U.S. Open this week, but more importantly, let's talk about this PGA Live Golf and PIF Saudi agreement. Now they're talking about, will the U.S. government get involved in terms of the Senate wanting to know about this agreement? We'll get Cam's thoughts on it coming up and see where he thinks this thing will go and maybe who he thinks is going to win the U.S. Open. By the way, did you hear that Rory McIlroy and Brooks Koepka are paired together the first 2 days? Yeah, that's not an accident. We'll get into all that at 105. Up next in the crap bag, if you missed the Conor McGregor thing, we'll go back over it and I'll give you the reminder. Plus, a little crap bag TV guide for you if you're looking for something now that the games are over for a couple days. We'll let you know what's coming on in the next few days for you on the Horn. This is Chad. Let's talk Apple Leasing. Love my car from Apple Leasing, and you will love the way you're treated. It's been about a year for me now with this car. My wife couldn't believe it. She's like, wow, has it already been a year? Yeah, time flies when everything was so easy with Apple Leasing. I called 346-9977, started telling them what I was looking for, things I'd been looking at, things I really thought I wanted out of the next car, and I was able to get all of that. And it was so convenient. They go out, they find those rebates for you, depending on what time of year it is, depending on what holidays are going on. Could be end of the year stuff. It could be holiday sales, the selection changing throughout the year. You're not expected to keep up with all those little details, but Apple Leasing keeps up with all of that. So they're going to all those dealerships, finding the best options for you on this particular model you're looking at. They can get you this deal with this rebate. Here's what the payment would be. They lay it all out for you. Here's how long the lease term would be. All those different things. You ask all your questions. They've been answering folks' questions and making it easy for them since all the way back to the mid-'80s. So call them up, 346-9977, and get your process started. It is the easiest and safest way to get a new car. Remember, they'll deliver it right to your driveway if that's what you need them to do. I know, because that's what they did for me. 346-9977 or go to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
Hot potato. Oh, man. I know exactly who this is. I'm trying to think of the name of the song. It's this Talking Heads. The High Life?
Nah, close.
Wildlife.
Wild
Yeah. Life. There you go. Man, I'm a big fan of just variety in music. I love that a band this weird existed back then. This band was huge in the 80s. They had hits in the 80s. David Byrne is still doing stuff out there. He is a wacky dude, and I love him to death. Talking Heads and Frank Stallone getting us started.
Yo.
Oh yeah, we played the big stuff right here.
I went and looked at Frank's catalog. He's got a few albums.
Does he really?
Yeah, it's not like he just dropped one song.
Okay.
And
All right.
then somebody said he was in, what's the movie with Val Kilmer and their Wild Wild West?
Tombstone?
Yeah, Tombstone.
Frank Stallone's in Tombstone?
Somebody said that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Tombstone?
I haven't.
Ooh.
I heard that's a must watch.
We may need to go there.
Yeah.
Because in some ways, it is it's not a bad movie, but there's some parts of it that are so over the top and so cheesy, but you can't help love it. That's incredible. And then if you haven't seen that Val Kilmer performance, it's worth the whole movie.
Yeah.
It really is. We will definitely have you watch Tombstone at some point. That may be your next week, in fact.
I'm good with that.
Because next week we switch back to you with a movie, me with an album. This week I'm watching Coach Carter, and Zay's going to listen to the Beatles' Revolver. So next week, I think Tombstone may be where we go.
Nice.
For you. All right, Cam Rogers coming up from the Believe Network. This golf story getting weirder by the day, and I'll admit I hadn't thought of these last two angles. Angle one, that the Senators might want to take a look at the agreement because it bothers them. But how about the rebuttal from Monahan of the PGA? Hey, Senators, I let y'all know months ago that we were concerned what was going on, but I guess your complications with your own relationship with the Saudi government got in the way.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of layers coming here because that's, in a way, the United States government lecturing you on a relationship with the Saudis. Kind of like Jenna Jameson lecturing you about having sex with somebody that's not your husband or wife for a job.
Yeah, like they got some nerve, huh?
Right? I mean, anyway. So we'll get into that story coming up at 1. I find it fascinating. Also, this one's fascinating. I can't believe y'all are still hiring this man for this type of job or even thinking about it. Let's get into the crap bag here.
Chad's Crap Bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Sometimes they are a fighter, and sometimes they are a fighter and they're likes to fight guy or likes to fight girl. In this case, it's likes to fight guy, Conor McGregor. For anyone that thought he could walk onto an NBA floor, be told to punch the mascot out, and that it would somehow end well, that's your fault. Conor does not do works. Y'all all thought it was a work when he threw the dolly at the bus. I told you it wasn't. I'm a pro wrestling guy and I'm a fight fan. I think I know a work and I think I know a shoot when I see it. That was a shoot. He's an idiot. He's a maniac. And if y'all didn't realize that, Miami Heat, okay, you want to promote some spray he's got out there or whatever, but Zay, they sent him out there. They sent that poor mascot out there to get hit by Conor McGregor and somehow thought, what, he was going to pull the punch?
Yo,
That's not Conor?
I heard my man got sent to ER too. He is not doing good.
Yeah, that's not Conor McGregor. Let's go over a couple of examples on the other side. Muhammad Ali, greatest of all time. Muhammad Ali could pull a punch. He loved wrestling, though. He loved Inoki. He worshipped the man. He found out about it. He was involved in some events against Inoki and some other pro wrestlers, meaning he learned how to pull those punches. Conor's never done that. Ronda Rousey, spent a lot of her life worshiping Roddy Piper. So when she made the transition from UFC into WWE, she wanted to learn the business. She's always loved the business. I've never heard Conor McGregor talk about pro wrestling a day in his life. So the idea that somehow could be like a really cute little work, that is y'all's fault for putting that together. I'd have told that mascot to duck and run. Because I would have told him Conor's going to deck you for real.
And that's a damn shame. Like, you would think he's promoting his product, so he gets it. Like, he gets it's a bit. Like, he gets that.
On some level, I think he did, but like,
he can't hold back, though. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Right.
basically just saying he can't hold back because he's just flat out bat crazy.
he is. And he's getting back into the business. He's going to fight back into UFC. He's going to fight Michael Chandler at the end of this year. He's a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. And one of the first things he did when he got there, he and Michael Chandler say hi, and then Conor immediately starts trash talking. Immediately. Chandler, what's your prediction for the fight? Second round, you're dreaming, and he's already jumping around and everything. And he was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And he's like, you want to go to catch weight? And he's like, I'll do. And Conor's like, you'll do what you're told. And he's all fired up.
Good grief.
Yeah, I hope the guy's okay though. Is he still in the hospital?
I don't know.
Man, I hope he's.
I
all
don't
right.
know. Because with the Heat loss, that's not good because they might get the loss from last night and a lawsuit coming.
It may be. You're right.
Because, Pat Riley, I'm suing your ass. Like, you need to tell Conor over and over, hey, man, you can't knock this dude out for real. You shouldn't have to do that. Like, he should know. Any sane citizen would know that, oh, yeah, I'm not going to knock this guy out for real. But you're right. The dude's just an idiot.
Yeah.
And, man, I don't even know what is that mascot anyway?
Question. I'm not sure.
My wife was trying to figure out what the Nuggets mascot was last night, too. I couldn't tell her nothing. And she was a little frustrated. She was like, how do you know, you being the sports guy? And I'm like, babe, it's not like a golden nugget, dude. It's literally like...
He's like a mountain lion or something, right?
Yeah, something like
Something like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rocky the mountain lion. Is that his name? Something like that?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Okay.
So the other thing real quick, now that the NBA finals are over, and if you're a Texas baseball fan, you're out of the playoffs and not going to Omaha, this would be the official start of the dead zone. 81 days till Texas plays their first game, 86 days till the first NFL game. So you're going to need stuff to watch on TV. Here's some suggestions. Bill Walton, parts 3 and 4 of the 30 for 30. Zay, I'm done with parts 1 and 2. I've loved every second of it.
Nice.
Every second, because he's not too over the top, Bill Walton. He's telling you his stories, going through the details. Part 2 ended right before they make the run in Portland and win the title with Dr. Jack and that whole crew. So they're going to pick up there.
Dr. Jack? Who the hell's that?
Dr. Jack Ramsey,
Oh, okay.
the coach. And so then they're going to pick up with that season in part 3 and go forward. I've enjoyed all the little details because I didn't know a lot of the different things that happened to him, the injuries, the political stuff, and all these different stories. So that's out there on ESPN. If you're like me and you're into the pro wrestling stuff, if you're like Zay and you're into the pro wrestling stuff, Dark Side of the Ring is back on Vice. You want to hear some serious wrestling stories? They've got them. They've already had a couple episodes. This week is the Graham family, which I'm not that familiar with in wrestling. I don't know if this is superstar Billy Graham or some other Graham family, but that story gets told tonight. They're going every Tuesday on the new episodes, and it's on demand as well. Plus, the biggest TV event of the week, as far as I'm concerned, is tomorrow night. SEC opponent announcements for 2024. I double-checked it. 6 o'clock tomorrow. So right there in the middle of Ball Don't Lie, be sure to be tuned in. You might hear Rod Babers and Mike Harge and Patrick's natural reaction if we find out in the first hour where who Texas is going to be, paired up with in terms of opponents. Will we get Texas A&M again? Will we get it in 2024? I would tell people, Zay, to expect to just hear the opponents and home and road. I don't know if we're actually getting dates tomorrow. That's the one thing I'm not sure of. A full, more than a year in advance, I don't know if we're getting that. Normally, I think we're going to get the first layer of what the NFL will give you. Next year, the Cowboys are going to go at these teams, host these teams. I don't know if we're going to find out Thanksgiving weekend, or is it September for this game, or if Texas matches up with Georgia next year. When and I don't know if we find that out.
That's fine.
But
That's fine. I just need to know who we're playing.
because it's literally called the 2024 Football Opponents Reveal on SEC Network. So when they just say that I think that's what we're looking for. So that's tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Obviously, keep it right here on the Horn. Also, and check all of our social media. I'm sure there'll be a reaction or two when we find out what is happening or not happening. Just wait till you hear from Longhorn and Aggie fans if they get told tomorrow that they're not playing in 2024.
They'll mess this up, SEC.
Oh, let's hope not. Let's hope they get it right. All right, coming up in hour number 2, we'll talk about what golf's trying to get right now. The PGA and LIV and all of that, the agreements coming together and all the politics around it. Cam Rogers, host of Lock It In on the Believe Network and a sports betting host on Stadium, joins us to talk a little U.S. Open and all the crazy drama in golf right now. Don't move. It's the Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Tuesday. Still trying to figure out the craziness from last night. Obviously, Denver excited about winning an NBA championship. And if you're a Texas baseball fan, we still have fans trying to process it all on the text line. How Texas lost to Stanford last night. Just crazy stuff at the end of that game. Just simply losing the ball in the lights in Stanford. They move on. Texas does not. And we've been processing all of that. If you have thoughts, Specs text line is 337-3776. Also, coming up this week, you got the U.S. Open. Be sure to check hornfm.com for our golf contest going on. Chance for you to win some cool stuff. We'll keep you updated on that. And right now, let's get into some of the golf craziness on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. By the way, I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier, one of those Texas fans still trying to process the weirdness of last night with baseball. And, of course, Zay being a big NBA fan. A little sad that the season's gone, but excited because we both picked the finals exactly right.
Yeah.
Denver in 5.
Denver in 5.
There you go. Gentleman sweep, they call it.
Yeah, NBA never ends. Like, free agency's about to start, the draft's next week. It never ends.
That's true. 9 days away from the NBA draft, and we'll definitely be talking about that. All right, let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline and get into some of this golf craziness with Cam Rogers, host of Lock It In on the Believe Network, also a sports betting host on Stadium. Cam, we appreciate the time. How are you?
What's up, guys? Great to be with you. Happy U.S. Open week.
Yes, it's going to be fun. Before we get to the tournament itself, how about the drama around golf right now? As somebody that follows it, how surprised were you by the announcement with PGA, LIV, European Tour, and this Saudi fund all coming together? How surprised were you?
Yeah, I was pretty floored, guys, because obviously we're talking about a situation where Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, said ad nauseum, we will never team up with LIV. The merger will never happen. Guys who go play on LIV will be indefinitely suspended from the PGA Tour, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the guy even invokes 9/11 to cement his stance for why guys should remain on the PGA Tour. What happens a year later? Pulls the ultimate hypocrite move and then welcomes the Saudis to the table and have conversations about merging together, and then he cashes out big time, and, it's all good for Jay. But what happens with these PGA Tour players, right, who remained on the tour and loyal? So, it's so interesting just breaking this down and parsing it through. And really, guys, we don't have a lot of answers at this juncture as far as the details are concerned and how this is all going to go about. But at the end of the day, the PGA Tour basically had to do this. Guys, they were running out of money, and they had ongoing litigation with LIV, and we know that the Saudis have unlimited bankroll. The PGA Tour does not, as far as paying its lawyers is concerned. So this could have gone on forever. The tour knew that, so they welcomed the Saudis to the table, and here we are.
Yeah, Cam, you talk about the PGA running out of money, and I feel like a lot of that has to do with LIV getting all those PGA golfers and bringing them to their league. And then once you start seeing those LIV guys winning majors and stuff, then all hell starts to break loose. And I thought, man, once Brooks Koepka won that championship and then things started rolling, I don't think that was a coincidence one bit.
Yeah, the thing, too, is like Jay Monahan always said, LIV is nowhere close to the talent level of the PGA Tour. And I was like, okay, I can kind of buy that because the tour is still supreme, in my opinion. But then we started to see the proof in the pudding, right? To your point, Phil Mickelson, over the age of 50 on LIV, finished tied for second at the Masters. So did Brooks. Then Brooks ends up winning the PGA Championship. Bryson, a LIV golfer, was inside the top 10 at the PGA Championship. Cam Smith, a LIV golfer as well. So Jay, I think, started to learn, okay, these LIV guys are hanging around, right? And so, I think that'll be the case here again at the U.S. Open this week.
Talking with Cam Rogers about all this golf craziness. The other layer to me, Cam, that was interesting is this U.S. government angle. It's almost another version of like the hypocrite discussion because it feels like the senators are reaching out to Monahan saying, wait a minute, we want to talk to you about your relationship with the Saudis. And now Monahan's responding with, really? You guys want to talk to me about relationships with the Saudis? Okay. I mean, it's turned into this weird back and forth kind of icky situation where I think the more we think about who does or does not have a relationship with the Saudis, it's like we're not going to like what we find, are we?
And that's why I think, too, the PGA Tour decided to welcome the Saudis to the table, because who knew what was going to be uncovered throughout all of this litigation and discovery with these lawsuits and the antitrust situations. And I'm talking about LIV and the PGA Tour at the same time. There are probably secrets they did not want to come to light during discovery. So you put that all together, and listen, as a golf pundit now, I'm all of a sudden like a lawyer on the side. I have to like sort of read up on the lingo and the language and what this all means, and it's confusing. And listen, guys, I'm just excited for the U.S. Open here this week. I think at the end of the day, this merger is going to be good for the game of golf because we have everybody playing under the same umbrella again, and we have the best possible product on the golf course. I think that's a win.
Yeah, Cam, we know at the end of the day, big reason why these golfers went to LIV was the money. But another reason was because of the schedule, schedule being a lot more flexible. PGA is just so rigorous. Seems like it's every week you're playing so many holes, where LIV Golf, they're doing things a little bit differently, and it's saving guys legs, and they're not as fatigued. Now with the merger, do you think PGA is going to kind of cut back on some of the tournaments, or how do you think that's going to go with the scheduling?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what we have going forward, because I'm hearing buzz about maybe not even doing 72 holes anymore. We're talking 54 holes, so 3 days of competition as opposed to 4. That gets a little muddy because right now the official World Golf Rankings only awards points to events that go 72 holes. So we'll see what happens as far as that is concerned. We still have the majors. Those are going to be 72 holes. We know those 4 are locked in for the rest of time, right? But as far as the rest of the schedule, there's a lot to be figured out. I think step number 1 is figuring out how the PGA Tour golfers who decided to stay end up getting compensated in some way for staying, right? And then, allowing for the LIV golfers to apply back to return on the PGA Tour. Is there a fine? Is there something like that? We'll see. And then comes the schedule, of course. And so I would not be surprised, actually, to see less tournaments. But at the end of the day, this new entity is funded by PIF, which is the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, which has endless runway. So, they can afford to play every single week. That is the point.
Interesting to see how they structure that. Again, we're talking with Cam Rogers. Check him out on the Believe Network, host of Lock It In, also a sports betting host on Stadium, at Cam Rogers Live on Twitter. Cam, I saw that Rory and Koepka have been matched up the first 2 rounds. That is brilliance. Can we make sure we get both those guys mic'd up with a reality show for Thursday and Friday? Can that be done?
That would be glorious. And thank you, USGA, for adding some fuel to the fire, because I remember a couple of years ago, I was clamoring for the USGA to put Bryson and Brooks together when they had the whole feud and everything was fiery between those two, and the USGA never did it. It's like, guys, do you want ratings or not? So thank God that they did this year with Rory and Brooks. Those are the 2 torch holders of their respective tours. Of course, they're going to come together eventually. But it'll be interesting to see if there's any sort of dialogue. Is there small talk? Are they all business? My assumption is Brooks is not going to say much, and Rory probably won't either. So, it's going to be a whole lot of distance between those 2 in terms of proximity as they walk this golf course here on Thursday and Friday.
Cam, let the people know what they're going to see this weekend from the Los Angeles Country Club, because I heard that's a very tough course. I mean, you got 2 par 3s that are longer than 280 yards. I heard the angles are crazy. What are these golfers, getting ready for this weekend, trying to play on one of the toughest courses that a lot of them aren't used to playing?
Yeah, we barely know about this golf course, guys, because it has yet to actually host a major championship. But I think it's going to be a really good test. 7,400 yards, par 70, kind of a similar vibe to what we saw last year in Brookline, the country club for the U.S. Open. Kind of a tighter track. It's more about position off the tee, but I think this is the best way to describe it. Visually demanding, especially off the tee, because you've got a ton of tee shots that require you to really trust your line. You're not going to see the ball land, in essence. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice rounds, uber important here this week, guys, because everybody basically is in the same bucket. They know nothing about this golf course, and now it's the sprint to study every angle, the second shot. What if you miss here or there? What do you do about this situation and that situation? Super important to get your research in now so that you're ready to go for actual competition here on Thursday. But yeah, I think it's going to be a different vibe than what we've seen maybe with the super long rough, you know, at an Oakmont or a Pinehurst or a Winged Foot. I see the fairways as kind of wide, a little bit forgiving there, but it's going to be difficult in other ways, to your point, right? 290-yard par 3, forget about it. So this is going to be a test.
Cam, last one from me. We mentioned Koepka. Obviously, he is definitely a hot golfer right now, and you can make an argument he's solidified himself for now as the best golfer in his group, in his era with that last major. How do you think this sets up for him specifically? If I tell you he's the favorite in my mind, would you agree or disagree based on the LA club?
I totally would understand why you feel that way. This is a guy who is performing at every single major, it seems, and there isn't a golf course, a tournament, a situation in a major championship capacity that I think is Brooks proof. I think he can play anywhere. He can adapt to how you need to play. Irons off the tee, conservative, he can do that. Driver off the tee, go for it on par 5s, he can do that too, right? So Brooks is that guy who just pops on the big stage. He's 13-1 right now, which I actually think is pretty good value in the outright market because you have Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm ahead of him. But Brooks Koepka is inside my top 10, obviously, this week in terms of the power rankings, and would not be shocked to see him in contention again on Sunday evening. He's proven that he doesn't get fat and happy after winning major championships. He wants more. He's still hungry. And so I think that's going to happen here this week. I think he'll be in contention for sure.
Cam, before we let you go, you know, a lot of people don't watch golf unless Tiger Woods is on the screen, and we know Tiger is dealing with that ankle injury and recovering from that, but it's just kind of where he's at this point of his career. He's dealing with so many nagging injuries, and his body is just breaking down. I don't know if we'll ever see what we saw in 2019 with the Masters from him again, but I know just his competitive nature, he wants to get back out there when he is healthy. Do you think if he gets healthy, could he ever get back to a point where he's just competitive, or do you think his body is just too, brittle at this point?
Yeah, I'm pretty bearish at this juncture as far as Tiger Woods is concerned, contending on the PGA Tour again. And listen, guys, I don't think he's going to play in the British Open. It's just too soon from that surgery, and everybody in the medical community is basically saying there's no shot for him to play the rest of the calendar year. So that's step number one. Step number two is I think he needs to really focus on the Masters in 2024, preparing himself for that in the best way possible. Or if he's not ready to go by then, he may have to have a serious conversation with people in his inner circle about whether he should continue playing professional golf. I mean, that is a very real scenario where Tiger Woods could retire. It would suck. It stinks. He's the greatest of all time, greatest to walk this earth, in my opinion. Sorry, Jack, but that's the reality that Tiger faces right now, guys. And as far as getting back to contending, listen, I just want him back on the golf course selfishly. If he never contends again, it's totally fine with me. I just want him out there healthy. But really, at the end of the day, I want him to be able to do the mundane things in life and not have to worry about re-injury, talking about playing with his kids again, doing chores around the house, those little things. That's what's important right now.
That is Cam Rogers. Check out Lock It In on the Believe Network, also a sports betting host on Stadium. You heard him talk about a little bit about the betting aspect of this big major coming up. Check him out on Twitter at Cam Rogers Live for more on all of it. Cam, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the U.S. Open, and we appreciate you today. Hope everything goes well in L.A.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Hook 'em.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Cam.
Cam Rogers. Look at him playing to the crowd there.
Hey, he knows what's up.
Throwing a little hook 'em there at the end. Yeah, that's interesting. An interesting discussion. He just threw an idea in my head. If they're going to move forward and try to give these PGA guys a little love, Zay, what about all the majors stay at 4 rounds, everybody else go to 3?
Yeah. That sounds like a good idea.
And maybe you pick a couple here and there, maybe the players at TPC Sawgrass, or maybe there's a couple others, but would that be the biggest crime in the world? Make the competitive rounds Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you want to still invite people out and do something wacky on Thursday, get your pro-ams all on Thursday, get all that figured out, and then go hard Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the Byron Nelson and the Colonial and the Waste Management. And like, make that Waste Management in Arizona, make it a 3-day party instead of a 4-day party. Actually, they might want all 4 days on the party for that. But you know what I mean? Like, maybe that makes the majors extra special because you're throwing in a whole nother round?
Yeah, you're telling me that Valero tournament in San Antonio needs 4 rounds? Are you kidding me?
There you
One
go.
after they do the run right here in town, and they go straight to San Antonio? Come on. Like, some of this stuff is unnecessary. I get it. It's hard to break tradition. Like, we hate change in, America. We interested in, like, we hate change, and especially in sports. Doing anything different than what the greats back in the day did is just ridiculous. So I'm with it. Make everybody happy. You see that it's benefiting guys and Live Golf, them not playing all the time. And yeah, it will make it probably a more exciting watch for when the majors come along.
Yeah, we'll see what they want to do there. And then I am fascinated by this back and forth, this weird little sparring session about Saudi money going on right now between the United States Senate and the, PGA and everything. Like, I don't know the full history of it all, but how far back would you have to go? Where would you have to go in terms of U.S. presidential, how far back into that, what's the word I'm looking for? Not president, but the administrations. How far back till you get to an administration that had no relationship with the Saudis? Like, seriously, how far back do you have to go? Historians? And these guys are going to lecture Jay Monahan? And then Jay's going to turn around and try to lecture them.
Yeah.
That should be a fun Senate hearing. That may be coming up before we realize it. U.S. Open gets cranked up on Thursday morning. If you're just focused on the golf, it's at L.A. Country Club, like Zay referenced in his question. Rory and Koepka, 3:54 our time on Thursday. They'll play with Hideki Matsuyama as well, so a recent major winner there. Scotty Scheffler's going out at about 10 o'clock in the morning Thursday. DeChambeau at 9:40. Rahm at 10:20 or so. Phil at 3 in the afternoon. Dustin Johnson, 3:30 in the afternoon. And if you're a Jordan Spieth fan and a Longhorn fan, 3:43 p.m. on Thursday. Looking forward to it.
If you could birdie a 290-yard par 3, you're on top of your game.
Dude,
you're on one.
290?
That's stupid. Like, who's making this course? Like, I get it. These guys are a lot stronger than they were back in the day, but man.
So I'll raise my hand. If you put me on a 290-yard par 3, I'm hitting driver. Is anybody else? Like, seriously.
Yo, what? Exactly.
290?
Yeah.
There's this thing that somebody has said to me on a golf course when I'm a certain distance away and I don't know the exact distance and he knows it better than I do. I'll say, hey, how far am I away? And he'll just look at me and go, all you got, Chad. All you got. Just tell me, whatever's the longest club you feel comfortable with right now, go. And I think I'd have to hit driver off the tee there.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing to be ashamed of.
Oh, my God. Is it over water? God help us if it's over water.
Oh, no. I know there's a drought in California, so maybe not.
A
But
280-yard par 3. That's incredible. We'll see how the LA Country Club looks once we get to see it this week. Again, remember to get to hornfm.com for our Majors contest. That'll be cranked up a little later in the week. Up next, your Flex segment. Big camp coming up. We'll give you over a month's notice on that to get you informed. Plus, a big-time Flex star visiting with UT Hoops today. We'll tell you who it is on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
It's a great song. Great song. That's the Supremes, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Now they weren't called Diana Ross and the Supremes. It was just the Supremes.
No, man, just
right?
the Supremes.
Just the Supremes. Dude, there's a list of songs that I'm just going to question. I'm going to question your sanity if you tell me you hate a song like this.
Yeah.
Makes me happy every time I hear it. I even don't mind covers of it. Like, it's that good a song.
I do. Yeah, you can't cover this.
I'd rather hear this, but even the covers, like, okay, all right. It's a hard song to mess up.
Yeah.
I heard a reference to that in one of my favorite movies recently about, it's such a good song, they couldn't even mess it up. Somebody else won't mess it up. It's too good a song. That's kind of the way I feel about this one. The Supremes, Talking Heads, and Frank Stallone have all been on the show today. I'm going to try to say that last one without laughing every time. Chad and Zay with you on this Tuesday. Zay, just checking in. How are we on the whole Texas baseball thing? Over it yet? Still processing? Where are you?
Never get over it.
Okay.
Come on now. You can't, get over these things. I mean, you just move on.
Because I am a Texas Rangers fan, so when somebody says, hey, Chad, are you over 2011? Well, no. Never. I agree with that answer. But that was all the way to, last strike. You were not at that point last night. You weren't guaranteed if a play is made, it's a title.
Right.
If they make that play, you're not even guaranteed they win that game. That's just getting you to extra innings. So it's a little bit different than all the way to that point.
Exactly. Like if this was in the championship series in Omaha or something.
Jeez. Well, here's the closest thing I could think of in college baseball was, remember when Arkansas dropped that pop-up to win it all? They came down to the last out. A guy was in foul territory and dropped it. I mean, touched his glove, dropped the ball, and then the other team wins.
That's tough.
They were that close. That's the closest thing I could think of in college baseball. That's worse, obviously, than what happened because, again, that's a national title in your glove, and you drop it. This is not what Texas dealt with last night, but that's a heartbreaker. Crushing to see guys that good unable to come up with that play, and whatever Kennedy and Campbell and those guys need to do to figure it out, I hope they get to do that, and that's just has to be tough. So we've been discussing Texas baseball today. We'll continue to do that, continue to talk NBA. We'll get into a little Jokic talk here as he starts to enter the great center discussion. We'll get another great center's thoughts on him coming up. But right now, let's go flex segment here. We'll tell you about a camp and an interesting visit today.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
All right. It'll be the first time you hear us mention it, but it will not be the last. It is July 20th. Anthony Williams has a camp coming up, and it is a skills camp for linemen and skill position players only, a showcase out in Round Rock over there at the MPC in Round Rock, the multipurpose complex. You can go to FLXATX on social media, find it that way, and there's a QR code right there, super modern and everything. Get that QR code scanned for info and to get registered. That again comes up Thursday, July 20th. And as far as this visit story goes, Zay, you told me about this one earlier, a name I knew from last basketball season that's making a visit to the 40 Acres today.
Yeah, well, man, it's big time. Josiah Mosley, the forward who will be a senior this year at Stony Point, who was MVP of Central Texas. They only lost 2 games this season. They got all the way to, I want to say, regionals before they lost to San Antonio Brennan, and he will be taking I don't know if it's official or unofficial, but he'll be up with Coach Terry at the University of Texas today, getting shown around. I don't know if they've offered him yet. He has a lot of mid-major offers, not quite a couple of Power 6 offers, but nothing too crazy. And who knows, he could get better, he could get taller, and I don't know if he's a UT quality player yet, but he has a lot of time to grow. And if he does, who knows? That could be a really good get for Coach Terry and crew. So shout out to Josiah Mosley. Him just going down there is a big deal. I know Coach Thompson is excited. I would be too if that was my player. And yeah, look for both of those guys to have another big year this season. Coach Thompson with his coaching and Josiah Mosley, another special season, probably going to get MVP again. I don't see anybody knocking him off. He's the best player in the area.
Yeah, he is a big-time player. We'll see if that team can make an even deeper run this next season. Check out FLXATX.com, or you can go at FLXATX on your social media. Find out about that camp. Find out about offers and visits and commitments. Remember, if you've got workout videos, 7-on-7 videos, commitment announcements, offers that are coming in for players that you love, players that are at your school, coaches, if you're connected to it, hit up Flex. They want to know about it. All right, we're also talking a lot of NBA today. Championship number 1 for the Denver Nuggets. And Mike Malone didn't even waste time. He's already talking dynasty.
Yo, he's out of control. Mike, relax.
Dude's referencing Pat Riley before they barely handed him that trophy 5 seconds ago.
Yo, at least Pat Riley did it at the parade.
Jeez.
At least he had Magic and Kareem. Like, I love Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Both of those guys are dudes. But before you really even get the trophy, still in the arena, like, you got guys' sweat still dripping from the game. You talking about we ready to win it next year? I don't know about that, Mike. You already have a bullseye. Like, he's never felt this before.
Right.
So he was running on a high that we'll never feel ever in our lifetime. But this was a bad move because you got that bullseye on you once clock went 0 and everybody knew you were the champs. Now that bullseye's on your back because everybody's going to try to dethrone you for the 2024 season. So going out there and just saying something reckless like that, we're going to win it next year. We trying to win it next year. That's a wild thing to say, Coach.
It is a little crazy. I'm interested to see, do they get to keep any kind of chip on the shoulder, any kind of edge? Vegas has already picked them as the favorite for next year, but they can always play they talk about other teams more than they talk about us. Spurs got to play that game back in the day. So maybe they get to play that a little bit. But there's a lot of confidence around this team. I enjoyed watching the celebration. I always like it when the trophy's up for grabs, but it seems like a team that really likes each other. The stories of how long it took them to build it, the guys that are there locked in for next year. They are such a dangerous team moving forward. So they finished it out in an ugly fashion, I guess you would say, but they proved, Zay, what we talked about all through the playoff run. They were the best team to my eyeballs because they could win lots of different types of games.
Yeah.
And they were the team that could do – I didn't see one other team that I felt like could win 3-4 different types of basketball games the way Denver could.
Yeah, they're really impressive, and it's going to be fun to go down the list of all the champions and compare them to, those Spurs teams or those Lakers teams or those Bulls teams because, it's fun to do. That's what we do. It's our job. And, yeah, I didn't see anybody able to touch them this season. From Jamal Murray, he could take over games for you when – you're trying to focus on stopping Nikola Jokic, and what he does best might be his passing, but he's one of the best scorers in the league. So what do you do with him? He's an underrated defender. He showed that in the playoffs with his deflections and steals and just timely blocks. Again,
how about last night, 2 massive deflections in that second half.
Big time.
Man.
Big time. I'm saying he's not going to do those Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, I'm going to throw your shot in the stands. He's going to, do those very smart blocks and keep it in bounds. And he's just a very smart player. You look at Michael Porter Jr., who was really good last night. He didn't shoot well the whole series, but like you said, Chad, their ability to beat you in different ways, they killed them on the boards the whole series. Miami got obliterated on the boards the whole entire series, and it was because the Nuggets knew we're bigger than them.
Yeah, last night was 57-44 on the boards.
Nothing you could do about that. Like, you try, but you just gave Vincent, Kyle Lowry, as tough as those guys are, they're smaller guys, while Jamal Murray, like, they were talking about his hand size last night. I don't remember what I was watching, but they were talking about his hand size. It's like Rondo's. It's like,
really?
It's closer to Kawhi than you think. Like, his hands are gigantic, which gives him an advantage. big reason why Michael Jordan had a huge advantage on guys, Kawhi Leonard, etc., because he's able to move the ball where guys, they don't have that luxury on his finishes, on his passing, control, ball handling. Him having bigger hands gives him an advantage that people don't really think about. Aaron Gordon, how good he was finding his role on this team, being that defensive stopper. But you could see Aaron Gordon, when things get a little dry and a lot of pressure goes on Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and a lot of focus goes on them, Aaron Gordon could go ISO and post up and get you buckets, and you could throw him lobs. And Bruce Brown was amazing this whole series. He didn't shoot well last night, but he was shooting cash money whole playoffs long. KCP was great. Christian Brown, rookie, won in high school state championships, won at Kansas, now won with the Denver Nuggets. That's just great scouting, knowing that he's a winner, and if we bring him on our team, he'll be able to contribute. Maybe not on other teams, but for that type of style that Mike Malone and his squad likes to play, Christian Brown was perfect. And Mike Malone, even though he was wilding out trying to guarantee the 2024 championship, I don't agree with that. He was amazing this season, pressing the right buttons, getting his guys going in the right ways. Game plan was good in each and every series, slowing down LeBron and Anthony Davis, slowing down Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Like, he was great, and they deserve everything they got.
So, Zay, Shaq tweeted something out, or this is Instagram, right? My bad.
Yeah, Instagram.
Sent something out on Instagram. You let me know about it earlier. It says all-time great center resumes, and he's got Kareem, Hakeem himself, Wilt, Bill Russell, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, and he adds Joker down at the bottom and says, "Welcome to the Big Man Alliance, Joker."
Yeah, well, first off, the fact that Moses Malone isn't on this list, Shaq, you're slipping. You're slipping.
I was going to ask you if he left anybody off.
Moses Malone, come on now. Fo. Yeah, he had 3 MVPs, a Finals MVP, and a title. He deserves to be in here instead of Patrick Ewing, but I get it. Those are the guys that Shaq played against. Yeah, man, Joker, I'll take him over Patrick Ewing. The David Robinson one, I know I said I'd take Joker over David Robinson. I might have been a prisoner of the moment. That might be a tie for me.
Okay.
What Joker has over David Robinson, David was never the best player on the team when they won championships with the Spurs in 99 and 2003. That was obviously Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan won Finals MVP both of those seasons. So when David was the man and they were number 1 seeds and stuff, they were getting, in a way, upsetted, which I don't know how you get upsetted by a future champion in the 95 Rockets, but the Spurs were a number 1 seed, the Rockets were a 6 seed. Like, that's an upset. Even though the Rockets won it all and went back-to-back, that's an upset. David was the man and couldn't quite get it done, so you might put Joker there, but the Admiral was a different animal when it came to a defender. Like, 8 all defensive selections. I don't think Joker, even though he's an improved defender, I don't think he'll ever make an all defensive team. So it's all subjective, but he's right there with Shaq, Hakeem, Wilt, Bill, Kareem, Moses Malone as one of the greatest centers of all time.
Well, and now in terms of the ring discussion, too, this is his first ring, obviously. I heard somebody make the reference to now he's a jeweler. I've never heard it said that way. We've always talked about this guy, Michael got this guy a ring, Kobe got this dude a ring, whatever. Magic got these guys rings. I've never heard it referred to as a jeweler, but that's a great way to think about it. Once you become a champion, then you can become a jeweler for other guys. And you are the reason that they have that ring. How many does he put up? Obviously, Shaq ends up with 4 total and 3 Finals MVPs. You talk about Kareem with 6 championships, 2 Finals MVPs. Those kind of numbers are going to be tough to run down. But he is a truly unique, freaky talent. And you can argue it's freakier in some ways than we've ever seen. Zay, he did finish off what I talked about yesterday. Only player in NBA history. Led all players in points, rebounds, and assists in a single postseason. No one has ever done that. Not Michael, not Magic, not Bill, not Tim, not anybody. Nobody. Total points, rebounds, assists through an entire postseason.
It's crazy, man.
That's amazing.
And what's scary is, since he doesn't rely much on his athleticism, he's going to be able to last if he doesn't deal with injury, God forbid, but he doesn't he doesn't jump out the gym. He's not the quickest guy in the room. So he's going to be good for a very long time.
As long as those feet stay as quick as they are.
Right.
Yeah.
But even then, he could step out and just knock down shots. He doesn't want to do that.
Right. He could be older Larry Bird before the back injury.
Yeah, they might have to bring somebody in to help him in his later years, but Jamal Murray, kind of like how Tony Parker got handed the keys from Tim Duncan when Tony became the better player around 2007 and beyond. He got that MVP against the Cavs, the finals MVP. Jamal Murray could be that for the Nuggets and could take that away from Joker and be the man, because Jamal Murray, he's put himself in the top 5 point guards in the league with this ring and what he did this postseason, especially coming off that ACL injury. That's insane to bounce back like he did, as tough as he was. He was really good. And yeah, a lot of attention's going to go to Joker, and it should, but don't sleep on how good Jamal Murray was this whole season.
You just bring up a great point, because if there's something I could give him maybe above Shaq moving forward, it's that at the moment they would have come to Shaq and said, hey, it's time for the young guy to become the stud. It's time for him to become Superman and you to back off. Shaq's answer was hell no.
Couldn't handle it.
The Joker will say yes.
Yeah.
The Joker will say yes, just like Tim Duncan said yes.
Right.
Eventually, he'll realize the evolution of it and be willing to hand that baton off.
Oh, Timmy was like, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like, TP, this is exactly what I wanted for you to take over. And you're exactly right. Like, Joker, he should do that. And Shaq should have done that. And Shaq regretted it.
Yep.
He regretted it, because him and Kobe weren't seeing eye to eye. Kobe throwing him under the bus because Kobe's Colorado thing, talking about Shaq cheat too. Shaq didn't like that. Shaq's wife divorced him, went and made basketball wives, and the rest is history. Real petty stuff.
That's
and
it.
Shaq couldn't just get over the fact that, it's about hoop. I want, Shaq thought, which in a way is true, I could go win with anyone. And he did that with D-Wade, but D-Wade ain't anyone.
True.
But still, D-Wade ain't Kobe. And if Shaq would have set his pride aside, who knows what could have happened. I mean, that was a super team that lost in 04 to the Pistons with Karl Malone and Gary Payton.
Yeah.
Like, that was people always talk about LeBron and them being the first super team. I don't think so. They're just one of the first super teams that won. Maybe the Celtics with KG, Pierce, and Ray Allen, but the first real super team that got traded and wasn't built organically, that was that 04 Lakers team with Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone, and we know what happened there. But yeah, Joker, so unselfish, only cares about winning, only cares about his teammates, and obviously only cares about his horses because he can't wait to get back home.
God love him. God love Joker. Just looking forward to getting back to the horses after getting his first ring. We'll continue to talk about Denver and that first title. The draft comes up in 9 days in the NBA. Coming up at 2:05, we'll talk about Aaron Rodgers. He's got comments on the Wilsons, both the quarterback version and the receiver version. We'll get to that up next. It's Where We At in Society with Zay. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Don't move. It's the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, bring the horn section on a Tuesday. Do you say coffee is the color?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
That's a good name. I like it. I don't even know what he's going to be singing about, but I kind of like Coffee is the Color. Not familiar with Coffee is the Color. Who is it?
Coffee is the Color by Roy Ayers from the Coffee soundtrack off the movie in the 70s.
There's some movie just called Coffee?
Yeah. One of those black classics.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's it about, do you know?
Oh, Coffee's a woman and she's fighting crime and beating the crap out of people.
Oh.
I don't know if Coffee was Pam Grier.
Like a
or
female
not.
like a female Shaft?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Like one of those kind of deals? Like a female Charles Bronson back
Yeah.
getting it done? Coffee is the Color.
I think it is Pam Grier.
Really?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Roy Ayers, The Supremes, Talking Heads, and Frank Stallone on the show today. I do love me some Pam Grier.
Oh, man.
I have not seen enough things with Pam Grier in them, but the ones I have seen, I love.
She's a legend.
She played the sister of Jennifer Beals on The L Word, a show that I fell in love with years ago. That's a great show.
It is a good show.
Let's take Sex in the City, but do it with really attractive lesbians. Yes! Check.
Oh, no.
Mate!
It's a little more, late night than Sex in the City.
Yeah, it is.
Sex in the City's definitely underwhelming.
I was never into that show.
I was never into it because there should have been more sex. They should just call it We in the City,
Yeah.
hanging out as girls.
We have established that you really do expect sex scenes in movies.
It's on HBO. It's in the name. What are we doing? Like Sarah Jessica Parker, she cool. Throw in some stuff for real. They just kind of, the whole Big thing. Like Big, he looks like he can lay it down. Let Big lay it down.
You told me all you needed. You've told us all you needed is the reference sometimes. They didn't even reference it enough?
It's not even close.
Wow.
Especially it's on HBO. It's in the name. Come on now.
Not enough sex in Sex in the City, according to Zay.
And it depends on the movie, too, Chad. Like, in A Few Good Men, it's a great movie, so I don't need it that much. But it would have been nice if Demi and Tom could just, at least walk into the bedroom and close the door. You know what I'm talking about? Something.
You're the only person I've ever heard that needed sex in A Few Good Men. That is the weirdest thing to want out of that movie. Oh, my God. All right. Speaking of movies, I'm watching Coach Carter this week. Samuel L. Jackson, 2005, if I saw correctly, for the release date. And Zay's going to listen to his first Beatles album all the way through.
Yep, heard a lot of songs, but not a full album all the way through.
Going to have Zay listen to Revolver this week. I think if I had to pick, I would tell somebody is it my favorite? Is it the best Beatles album front to back? I think it might be both of those things. I think Revolver brings it all together in a way that none of their other albums did. I love all the Beatles stuff, but that one for some reason always stands out, right? Kind of in the middle of things. I think it's a really good representation. So we'll have Zay check that out this week. We are talking NBA champs in Denver, and we're talking about what in the world happened to the Longhorn baseball team last night. Such a shame that we all got robbed from the end of that game just because the one ball's up and they can't. Yeah, it was terrible. We're helping you process that as a Longhorn fan. Specs text line 337-3776. If you're still dealing with that, we're still trying to figure it out, too. We'll get you those Aaron Rodgers comments coming up at 2:05 as we get closer to the NFL season. Right now, though, it's where we at in society. Let's see where Zay wants to go.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, do I need to check Twitter? What's going on?
Yeah, check Twitter so you know what we talking about for where we at today.
All right,
Chad. So in this story, there's a talk show, a daytime talk show called The Real out there.
Okay.
And it has Tamara Mowry on it. Sister, Tia and Tamara, one of the twins.
Uh-huh.
She's on it. You probably don't know the rest. Lonely Love, like a comedian. She's on it. She's the older woman of the crew.
Yeah, I know her.
And a couple other, Adrienne Bailon, which was a cheetah girl, and part of 3LW. You definitely don't know about that.
Gotcha.
'cause that's
Man,
like,
the sister girls have grown way up.
they look good too.
I'm an old man. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, they've always looked
Oh
good. It's
my
like childhood crush for me. But
Yeah, no, they're beautiful.
okay, so they always have a guest on the show.
Uh-huh.
And I guess yesterday's guest, I don't know when this video came out, but it went viral, so I'm guessing yesterday. Yesterday's guest was Stephen Curry's wife, Ayesha Curry.
Oh, I love her too.
Oh, yeah, she is great. You
So
know?
pretty.
Yeah, she
Beautiful.
mother of
smile.
3, all Steph's kids. They met kind of like a Patrick Mahomes, Brittany Matthews story. They met at Davidson, so Steph rocked her up, understood that she ain't gonna take my money. She's looks out for my best interest.
She loves him before he was Steph.
Exactly.
There you go.
Zion, take some notes.
There you go.
So
Lots of them.
lots of them. So on this little snippet video that you're seeing,
Yeah.
a man who is oiled up with his shirt off
Yeah.
comes out to greet the women on the talk show with drinks.
Serving drinks. Yeah.
Serving drinks.
Yeah.
During this moment, Ayesha Curry jokingly pretends to take off her wedding ring. Like she's about to risk it all for old boy.
Oh.
Look, like, do you see her trying to pull off the ring? And Janae May, who's married to Young Jeezy, shout out to you, Janae. I might not be pronouncing your name right, but I don't watch this talk show. I just know you're married to Young Jeezy. But she's trying to stop her as like kind of
That's
like,
funny.
oh, you're joking, but this is kind of uncomfortable. And I don't think you know this, Chad, but there has been a rumor that's been flirting around for about a few years now
Mhm.
that Steph and Ayesha are in an open marriage.
Is that right?
Yes. So
Do they-
Steph might be a cluck holder.
Do they whatever my line was isn't going to be better than that. Whatever my line was is not going to be better than
Hey,
that.
I mean, look, whatever floats your boat. What am I to not? I'm happily married. So whatever works for you. Now, I mean, you know, being married, all I know is what works for me. I know you're married. All you know is what works for y'all. This might work for them.
So first off, the first layer of this, it's not okay for her to just, that was a little bit of a joke. That's not okay.
Chad, come on. If your wife did that on live TV, taking off the ring for another dude, I get it. We find other people attractive that aren't our significant other. I get that.
To be fair, she did not actually take the ring off
because she was stopped.
She just made but she didn't do it
because she was stopped.
What do you mean stopped?
Because old girl kind of like, stop it, don't do it.
No,
I know she probably wasn't.
She was stopped by her love for Steph Curry. That's what she was stopped by.
But the gesture, just acting like you're taking it off, is kind of, I don't know. There's one thing to be in an open marriage, but you're doing it because you come back home to your man and y'all's marriage is good. Not, I might leave this man for
You're taking a lot. You're putting a lot into a scene from The Talk or whatever the heck that show's called. That's a lot you're putting into that.
Yo, look, y'all married fellas out there. If your wife saw another man chest out, oiled up, who isn't a 2-time MVP, 4-time champ,
dude, that's a pretty attractive dude. I damn near took my ring off when I saw him. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? If John Bon Jovi walks in the room and my wife pretends like, oh, Mom, I have to take the ring off, all I would do is smile because I know how much she loves him. Or in this case, if I know Ayesha likes, likes attractive men.
See, you can't even name old dude. That's John Bon Jovi. That's different.
Yeah, this is more of a random guy.
Random dude.
You're right.
We're taking the ring off a random dude.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I don't know. Have we? No, it's the NBA, so I know there's drama out there. Have we gotten a dramatic response from Steph yet?
We have not.
Okay.
But if they're in an open marriage, what can he say? This is part of what they do, I guess.
Has Draymond commented on his podcast?
No.
That's a shame.
That is. I don't think so. Draymond's a good teammate. If it was somebody else, maybe.
Okay, so have they verified the rumor yet?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's not.
They've Ayesha kind of basically squashed it like, oh, y'all are crazy.
This isn't like Will and what's her name?
Jada Pinkett.
Because they really put things out there that they were in a different kind of relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
But think about it. Like, Steph's always on the road, 6 months out of the year, coming back and forth. Ayesha stay-at-home mom. She got needs. She has needs just like him. We just talked about with Zion and, how them scandalous women be waiting in the lobby for you, chilling. Aisha know that. She know that.
Oh, man.
So she might give Steph some hall passes. And in return, she might need those hall passes back.
I always thought it was an innocent move. It
would be innocent if
the rumor
wasn't out there.
Who put the rumor out there, by the way?
I have no idea.
How do these things get out there?
I think somebody just goes out and says, like, somebody with just a little bit of credibility said something about these guys, Steph and Aisha, their marriage isn't as faithful as it appears to be. And that's got everybody talking, thinking that Steph Curry is a cuckold.
Well, and that's that reference is a little different. I mean, there's a lot of layers to it too. You could be in a relationship where you can be in an open relationship, but that's not being a cuckold. That's not what that is.
Oh, he could be both,
right?
Yeah,
it could be both.
Yeah, he could let her do her thing by himself, or Steph could be in the chair.
It could be like the Andre Kirilenko. Remember that agreement?
I do.
Andre got the once-a-year agreement.
Legend.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody understood the schedule and the rigors of the schedule, and once a year he got a chance to step outside the marriage, and she was cool with it.
Yep.
There you go.
So, hey, whatever works for them.
Hey.
I'm just saying, like, it's Steph Curry, Steph, holy, godly Curry. Like, we wouldn't expect this from him. That's all. We wouldn't expect this from him.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to have to think on that one a little more. I'm going to think on that one just a little bit more. The Aisha and Steph Curry discussion. I did not realize those rumors were out there, but sometimes that's where we at in society is all about. This week we've talked about that and the Zion Williamson thing. It's already been a full week when it comes to NBA drama. Speaking of, obviously, Denver wins the title. We've been talking about that, the craziness of the ending of the Longhorn baseball season. And up next, Aaron Rodgers talking about the Wilsons, both the one that did go to high school in this area and the one that did not. That's next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, getting started on hour number 3 on this Tuesday. Longhorn baseball season ends and ends that way. Plus, Denver's season ends the way they wanted it to, with a championship for Mr. Jokic. Chad and Zay with you. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier, getting you the beat to start every third hour. Feel like I've heard it? Sounds very familiar. The artist in my head when it started was Jay-Z.
There we go.
Okay.
Yep, Jay-Z. Just Wanna Love You. The Neptunes, Pharrell production.
Okay.
It's a fire song. Love this song.
It's a hell of a combo. Those two,
yeah.
Get those two guys together.
Oh, every time those guys get together, they make hits.
Which era of Jay-Z we talking about here?
It's probably 2000, 2001.
Okay.
So right when he was becoming one of the greatest rappers in the world.
After the Black Album.
No, before.
Oh, before Black Album.
Yeah, before Black, before Blueprint.
Before Blueprint 3. Before Blueprint 1?
This song, yeah. This song was probably like the summer going into Blueprint, maybe.
Okay. Why did I think Blueprint was in the 90s? Am I wrong?
I don't know why.
Okay, that's...
Yeah,
got
Reasonable Doubt and Volume 1, 2, and 3 were all 90s.
Okay. My
But
bad.
Blueprint 1's 2001.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So just into the decade. I gotcha. All right. So the Jay-Z beat gets us started this hour. We hope you're having a good one. If you're a Longhorn baseball fan, we hope you have processed last night. I've never seen that in my life. I'll probably die having never seen that again. In that exact situation, in a playoff setting like that, for a baseball game to end like that. Just unreal. Zay, I'm sure there's some little league parents out there that could say, oh, Chad, I've seen some games end in weird ways. I'm sure you have. But that level, with all that on the line, super regional game 3, I have never seen something happen like that.
No, not at all. And again, your heart just goes out to Dylan Campbell and Eric Kennedy. I know that's going to sting for a very long time. Hell, we weren't even in the game, and it stings right now. But this team, they were tough all season long. The expectations weren't there because everybody thought this was going to be a rebuilding year. And to get to a super regional with a couple of plays away to get to Omaha, and yes, it hurts to end like that, but hey, if you would have told us in February that we would have had the chance to go to Omaha in the Super Regional for one game, I would have taken that absolutely 100 times out of 100. And it just didn't go your way. And that's baseball and that's sports. And that's why you play it. But that's what's also heartbreaking about it.
Yeah, and the fight that they put up in last night's game to come back like they did, to get what they got, to not get what, didn't get as much as you'd want out of Witt, to get what you got out of Morehouse, to get what you got out of Lucas Gordon, and then have that happen. That's just, that was awful. So we've definitely hit that today. We've also talked about the Nuggets getting the first championship for that franchise, and now Jokic and Murray and Porter and all those guys and Gordon, they end up with a ring, which obviously changes the way they talk about you, even if you only end up with one. But now, of course, the coach is already talking about another one, and NBA folks are talking about, is there going to be a dynasty here in Denver? So we've hit that today. If you have any thoughts on what you saw with the Nuggets, Specs text line 337-3776. We also have a little bit of NFL to get into. Zay, so far, now there's no games yet, and they're not even into serious practices, but so far it feels like Aaron Rodgers and the New York media are having a nice honeymoon period. Feels like they're not having a lot of issues yet.
Yeah. I mean, this is how it is when you haven't played a game.
That's right.
And everybody knows you're going to the Hall of Fame. They know you're a game changer, and he's enjoying it. He's really embracing the New York culture, from going to Ranger hockey games, going to Knick games.
Yep.
I don't know if he's been to a Yankee or Mets game, but I'm sure that's sometime soon.
Yeah, I haven't seen him at baseball yet, but he'll probably get there.
Yeah, but he's been outside, and that's how you get people to embrace you. I mean, a lot of people are hit or miss with Aaron Rodgers, and I get it. He could be a very surly guy and somebody that is not really relatable, and he's just different. You hear about him and Big Mike and all the stuff that they went through, and kind of quitting on his team there and running different plays that Big Mike, wasn't calling, and just all of that stuff could get caught up. So he's trying to start fresh. in, somewhere that's could be really dark on professional athletes, the New York media. So I think he's doing all the right things and he has the right attitude.
So do we have one piece of sound on both these guys, or is it two separate ones?
Two separate ones.
Okay, so I'll let you pick. Which Wilson do you want to hear about first? Because he has a comment on Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson.
Probably what people around here care about more, and that's Garrett Wilson. We know how good Garrett Wilson is coming from Lake Travis and going to Ohio State, then becoming the Rookie of the Year in his first season. And now with Aaron Rodgers, it could only get better.
Mm-hmm.
I love Garrett. Awesome young kid. The whole world in front of him. He's got all the talent and ability. You need your best players to be the best people on your team. He's definitely one of them. Love spending time with him. Love just watching him. There's at least one time at practice he does something. He kind of looking back at Todd and Hack and Rob. I was looking back going, wow. So that's exciting. But the thing I like and that I'm encouraging is more communication across the ball. We get at some point possibly the best corner and the best receiver in the NFL. Is a legit possibility, I think, for those two guys. Maybe not this upcoming year. I still think Devontae is in a league of his own. But those two kids are so talented. But I want to see just more communication between the whole team. I think that's how we take the next step.
Did he just work in a compliment for Devontae Adams?
Somehow he finessed that in there.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm mad at him over that, if I'm a Jets fan. I guess not. I guess it makes sense.
No,
he's talking about young players, and he's comparing him to that. Okay.
The fact that he got brought up when you're talking about Garrett Wilson.
That's true.
I don't care what it is. Like, you got to love that, and it shows how talented Garrett Wilson is. If, you heard Aaron Rodgers, like, every day there's something that Garrett Wilson does that – even with him playing with Devontae Adams and Greg Jennings and Donald Driver and Jordy Nelson, he's surprised at how good Garrett Wilson is at this young age of his career. So that says a lot.
Yeah, that's one if you're a friend of Garrett Wilson's, family, agent, whatever, to make sure he heard that. You did hear that Aaron Rodgers says, you make him say wow during practice. And he may already know that, but that is incredible. So that's good news if you're a Jets fan, if you're following Garrett Wilson's career. I wonder, Zay, both sides of it, I've always wondered to see the moment when, like, a quarterback realizes he's got a badass receiver that he's never had, or in this case, when it's a young badass receiver that has caught passes from NFL quarterbacks, but oh my God, I bet there's a moment where he's going to run a route next few days, next couple of months, and he realizes, oh, my God. And then Rodgers says, hey, when you do this, I want you to do that. I want you to cut that at 8 yards. And when you do, before you even turn, you realize I'm letting it go right there. And then they end practice or they end that rep, and Garrett Wilson realizes, holy hell.
Right. And
this is awesome.
And that's going to be the biggest question with the New York Jets. How quick is it going to take for Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, and the rest of that crew to build a chemistry to where Aaron trusts him to make those signature throws that we've seen throughout his whole entire career?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's a division that's going to be tough to, try to get in the groove when you got to play against Miami and the Buffalo Bills and Bill Belichick. Like, there's not much figuring out.
You're lining up against a Belichick defense or Tre'Davious White or whoever. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So on the Jets end, they don't know what they're seeing yet with Aaron Rodgers. Like, what film do you have going into this season besides what you see week one? And try to just build around that. Mm-hmm. And maybe the little bit that we see with Aaron Rodgers in the preseason, maybe just a tad bit. I wouldn't even risk it. Like, you're Aaron Rodgers, you don't need to play preseason for me. But there are some would probably think just to get some type of chemistry with these guys in the game setting, that's necessary. But at the end of the day, it's Aaron Rodgers. He'll figure it out. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I'd leave that all up to Aaron Rodgers. You want to play the Tom Brady game? Nobody gets reps but me? Cool. You want to sit out and wear a ball cap? Cool. We'll let you do whatever you want.
Damn, we're not giving second string reps.
You want to take 5? I mean, that's how Brady always was.
Yeah.
In preseason games, Brady was in every game in New England. Eventually, yes, they'd put a backup in. But what I'm saying is those reps that were expected to be first team, he took them every time.
Right.
Every time he could. All right, so let's hear this comment on Zach Wilson now. This is him talking about the now backup quarterback officially of the Jets and I guess how their relationship's going. Yes?
Yeah, he's been incredible. You know, he hasn't made my life hell every day. He's been a joy to work with, and I give him so much credit because it's a tough situation. You know, what he went through, the frustration last year, probably a lot of the words that he heard from people, and if he's checking social media, whether or not he has that, I don't think he has Instagram, but you know, that can be tough sometimes to deal with that. I think as a young player, the confidence is so important. So my job, Hack's job, Rob's job, Todd's job is just to continue to encourage him and help him build that confidence back up. But I think if he can step back and look at what he's accomplished this offseason and see where he's at from the first day I got here, which wasn't the first day, to this last day, I think he's done incredibly well.
That's interesting.
Okay, that little comment about hasn't made my life a living hell. Explain that one to the people.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, I don't know when he said this. It definitely wasn't recently. It might have been a season ago, but he said whoever comes in to play quarterback to try to compete with him, he's going to make their life a living hell. Like, it's going to be very tough for you to beat me out. So everybody obviously tagged that with Aaron Rodgers once he got to New York. And yeah, I like the joke that Aaron Rodgers made. But hey, you just talked about Tom Brady not letting people take snaps. Did you hear what Aaron Rodgers just said? Like, it's up to me. And then he started naming out coaches to give this guy confidence.
Yeah.
Like, that's growth. And if I'm Jordan Love back in Green Bay, I'm like, where the hell was that at for me, bro? Where was that energy at for me?
Right.
Like, I know you're embracing this New York culture and you're loving it up there and stuff, and you probably got a nice-ass penthouse, but damn, bro. Like, I could have got some of that energy, you dig?
Now, let's be clear. He said it was all their jobs. He didn't say it was his job, did he? Did Aaron say it was his job to make Zach comfortable?
He said him, and then he said the rest of the coaches.
Oh, he did mention himself.
He did mention himself.
Okay, then that would be growth. Certainly growth from where Favre was. Certainly growth from where Favre was, or a lot of guys have been over the years. Yeah, that's just how you know there's absolutely no threat because, Love, even though he knew Love wasn't taking his job, wasn't going to actually play better than him, they did draft him while he was standing there. Nobody drafted Zach Wilson. He didn't, Zach Wilson wasn't drafted after Aaron Rodgers became a Jet. If he had been, he probably wouldn't talk about him.
Yeah, they were drafting Jordan Love and not drafting quality wide receivers that could help.
They never did. They never did that, even afterwards.
Yeah, because it's really hard to afford one in Green Bay because, for one, these prima donnas don't want to go play in the cold anyway. Yeah. And just the whole ownership, front office is a little weird with everybody being an owner that lives in the city. So it's just a weird situation up there in Green Bay. But yeah, I get to a certain extent why he's petty, but then it kind of goes back to like Ben Roethlisberger. You should be comfortable with who you are to where, again, you're not going to get beat out of the job, so be a good teammate and help these guys. Mm-hmm. I don't think Jordan Love deserved how he was treated up there in Green Bay from Aaron Rodgers and whoever else. And now you got Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers was talking about, oh, yeah, we're going to help him any way we can. I feel bad for him because of, how the media treated him last year. It must be really hard. Doesn't have social media and this and that. That's a complete 180 to how Aaron Rodgers was acting a year ago up in Green Bay.
This text says, I want to know if Aaron Rodgers has met Zach Wilson's mom yet. I thought of that too. As I was listening to the sound, I hate to admit, I was thinking the same exact thing.
Come on, man.
And this texter says, Favre had no growth. Didn't you see the picks? That's well done. Well done. Well played. Well played.
Oh, Favre. Come on, man.
The NFL season begins in 86 days with that first Thursday night game. We're 89 days away from the first NFL Sunday. And today we've kind of been hitting both sides of that Monday night opener. Remember, it's Jets, Bills, 9-11, the New York vibe on both sides. And we talked earlier about Stephon Diggs, not at practice today. But to be clear, he is at the facility these last couple days. And I just saw a tweet from Josina Anderson a little while ago that there's talks going on of some sort and that everybody's been on the same page. And it was Sean McDermott's comments that have gotten confusing to some people today. When he said, it's very frustrating that he's not here. Apparently, Diggs folks agent, team, everybody knows what's going on, but maybe somebody just forgot to tell the head coach?
I mean,
Is that what happened?
There has to be some better communication going around.
Definitely does. The folks in red, white, and blue might want to get that figured out. Stephon Diggs signed to a big deal last offseason, but the weirdness at the end of the season had some people talking, and you've been saying it the whole time, Zay, just all the weird stories around that team, from Hamlin to other injuries. If they can just get it all figured out, get it all kind of back to the baseline, that feels like a dangerous football team. They just need to get back to it.
Yeah, they're a very dangerous football team. Remember, they hosted that game that they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, that was in Eastern New York. Like, it wasn't like they were picked to win, or probably not picked to win that game. I had Cincinnati win just because that was the role that they were on, but they were supposed to win that game. But just all the craziness that happened last year derailed all their plans. And coming into this season, if they could get healthy and Josh Allen, a year without Brian Daboll, could get back to the basics and not trying to go for those home run long shots and trying to break tackles and run through everybody and play some smart football, then yes, they'll be right back where they need to be, and that's in the playoff hunt, trying to contend for a Super Bowl.
27-10. I forgot the score of that game. I wanted to look it up real quick.
Ooh.
You're right. It was at home.
Yeah, that was ugly, man.
27-10. Obviously, the game with Hamlin was in Cincinnati.
Yes.
But that particular game was at home, and all that confusion about tiebreakers and how the games would be. I know Cincinnati wasn't necessarily thrilled about that. The discussion around that game was very strange once we got there, but then Cincinnati did control the ball game. So there's some stuff for you on that first Monday nighter today, Jets and Bills. We are closing in on the NFL season. Up next, it's Why Today Matters. More on the I was about to say Broncos. More on the Nuggets. We'll see if the Broncos can finish it off and maybe get them a title this year. But the Nuggets definitely got one last night. We'll hit you with some more of those historic numbers about the Joker and the Nuggets, and how many more could they put on top of it. That's next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, getting rolling through a Tuesday, trying to get our minds wrapped around Denver as the champs in the NBA and the Longhorn baseball team exiting that way. It's a catchy-ass tune right here. My God. Coolio and Gangsta's Paradise.
Gangsta's Paradise off the Dangerous Minds soundtrack. Michelle Pfeiffer in the video, too.
Where's the respect level for Coolio in the game?
I mean,
A little too poppy, a little too crossover.
I mean, how many hits did he have? He had this and he had another one. Other than that,
Like this,
I forgot the other one. I can't even think right now.
Like, does this get a lot of love? And
oh yeah,
this-
that's a classic.
Does he do? I mean, has he done great albums,
No,
or is it more of an individual song
more of an
thing for him?
individual song.
Okay,
yeah,
you wouldn't tell me to go listen to a record, full album.
probably not.
Probably not. Okay. Coolio, Roy Ayers, The Supremes, Talking Heads, and Frank Stallone, don't laugh, have all been on the show today. The Jay-Z beat to start the hour as well. I'm sure they had all kinds of beats rolling in Denver throughout the night as they celebrated the championship. By the way, we hadn't mentioned it. I do hope those people are okay. They got shot last night. Random shooting, like injures 10 people. You're celebrating your team winning an NBA title, and you took your guns downtown with you? What is this, Dodge City?
Sad, man.
What are we doing, Wyatt Earp? My goodness. Hope everybody is all right from that. I know there were some folks that had to be hospitalized, but hopefully everybody will be okay there. Jokic and the Nuggets get their title. How many more will they have? That's going to be a big question. Let's see what the NBA looks like and feels like the next few years. We'll get into some more of these stats. Also, maybe a little note on the U.S. Open as we get closer to the tournament this week. Let's hit all of it in Why Today Matters. Zay, there's so many numbers that were impressive coming out of it. I'm really glad Denver finished it in 5 because now it'll have more of a historical feel. So 2 teammates, points per game in a finals. All-time combined, Shaq and Kobe in 01. 56.8 or whatever the number is, 57, something like that.
Oh, man.
Second place on that list is a much more recent one. It's Durant and Curry winning a title with Golden State. And this is third all time. Teammates, points per game in a final series. So that is incredible. It may be the full postseason, not just the finals, but either way. Jokic and Murray, third on a list like that. I told everybody earlier, first player, Jokic, ever to lead all players in points, rebounds, and assists in a single postseason. Nobody else has ever done it. He's the first player, Zay, with 500 points, 250 rebounds, and 150 assists in a single postseason. First guy ever.
Wow.
Second player to average 25, 10, and 5 in 4 series in a single postseason. Say what you will about this team, but that was LeBron in the bubble.
Wow.
Think about those numbers. 25, 10, and 5 in 4 different series in a postseason. He did that in leading them to that championship that some people like to put an asterisk on. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And how about this one? He's the third player to average 30 points, 10 boards, and 9 assists in a single postseason. Russell Westbrook did it in 2017. Obviously no title there. Oscar Robertson did it in 63. I just double-checked. The Celtics won the title in 63. So, the Joker is the first guy to pull that together and actually win the ring in that postseason. It's incredible. Just unbelievable numbers that he continues to put up. And you said it earlier. When he needed to last night, he showed off the weapons. He showed off the passing, or he showed off the shot, or he showed off the leadership. He did it all.
Yeah, and he got on his team last night.
Yeah, he did.
It was kind of the most animated we probably have ever seen because he was really going off. And it's funny when he gets mad, just because when he gets mad, he looks like a big baby. But like he's a dog, man, and doesn't care about any of the credit, just cares about his teammates. And you see it with the way he plays. Like, he loves to pass. He'd rather not go get 50-something. I mean, all the games that he got over 40, they lost. So he knows that he has to get his teammates involved, and he loves those guys, and they love him too. Like, you could tell the whole franchise embraces him, the city embraces him, and he's perfect for the NBA now. Like, I can't preach that enough, because we see guys like Ja Morant, we see guys like Zion, and there's always going to be those guys in the league, like as AI or Latrell Sprewell. But having somebody like Nikola Jokic that can win and also be a good person and not have to worry about anything off the court or worry about him. You know, the craziest thing that he's done was knock one of the twins, Markieff or Marcus Morris, down and got fined that one game.
Right. He's not going to draw that TMZ attention.
Yeah, he's not going to draw that attention. Like, he doesn't need that. He hates the limelight. Like, he had the most miserable press conference I've ever seen after an NBA Finals. Just a lot of sighing and can't wait to go back home. And that's just him. Like, he's probably like, yo, I can't wait to get away from you Americans. Y'all are nuts. I love basketball. That's the only reason why I'm here. If I could get paid the way I'm getting paid in America and Europe, I wouldn't even touch down in the NBA.
I don't even know who the person was. He sat down at the press conference last night as an NBA champ. He looked up, and the first person started asking a question. He was like, oh, Lord, here we go.
Here we go. Like, I can't wait to get away from this. And it's quite refreshing. Like, my wife was watching with me. She hasn't really seen much of him, like, talk and stuff. And she was like, wow, he just seems like a great guy. Look at his daughter. You know, he has his wife's ring on his shoe. He's a big family guy. It's really refreshing to see somebody like him be the face of the league, because he doesn't want it, but he's the best player in the NBA. Yeah. And that's just what it is.
And the challenge for now everybody else is that team, that organization was patient. They let it build over a 6-7 year period with Malone and him and Murray. Malone last night said, hey, I've been with Joker 8 years. I've been with Murray 7 years. And then those other guys that they have locked down. This is almost like when the rest of the league was trying to figure out the Spurs problem. Now, there was also a Kobe problem going on at the same time, two different versions of it. But when you're trying to figure out that Spurs thing, it's like, well, wait a minute. What if the best team and organization and culture in this league is ruthlessly boring? What do we do then? They're not going to distract themselves. They're not going to distract others. They're going to go back to work. They're going to be all about the team. Tim Duncan's going to give up the number one mantle when it's time. That's kind of what they feel. We've been making the Shaq-Kobe comparisons for other reasons, but Zay, that's the dangerous comparison I'd make for everybody else, that this has like a Spurish kind of normal, but it's beating you to death while it's normal kind of feel to it.
Yeah, because you look at all of the legends that have won championships that were the face of the league that we all love, like Michael Jordan. He's out here dunking on everybody. We're seeing them on TV, commercials, etc. Kobe Bryant and Shaq. Think about how out there Shaq is. Like Kazam, all that. Blue
very
chips,
loud, boisterous.
Very loud. Yeah. Like, he wants you to know, I am good. And Kobe, he went about it differently, but he let you know how good he was.
He was all about the work in one way, but it was about him, too.
Exactly. Yeah. Look at LeBron and D-Wade. D-Wade's with Gabrielle freaking Union. You know what I'm saying? Like, LeBron James, he literally went to L.A. so he could be a part of Hollywood and do movies and have his show, The Shop. Like, these guys, they love that stuff. And then you got, to your point, Tim Duncan, who, the picture of Tim Duncan with Pop and David Stern during the 2003 MVP, this fool's wearing, like, Jesus sandals and jorts and a T-shirt.
Tim used to wear shirts that it was stuff I would wear.
Oh,
a shirt where I'm like, I might wear that shirt.
Yeah, it's like he went to the big and tall section of Ross, and that's where he shopped. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody hated Tim Duncan for that. Like, oh, he's a lame. Especially during the Allen Iverson era, which was the exact same time. Everybody wanted the cornrows and wanted the tattoos and just all that. The AI brought. AI never won nothing. So you're right. Like, I don't think it's boring. Because any Tony Parker team will never be boring. Right. And no Nikola Jokic team will ever be boring. He's as flashy as we've ever seen a big man. Like the no-look passes, the dives, behind-the-back passes, the alley-oops. Big men don't throw alley-oops to others. They catch the alley-oop.
Right. No, his entry passes are amazing.
Yeah, so it's just, it's different than what we've ever seen. And like they do it, it's very Spurs like to get Joker in the second round. They got Manu in San Antonio, 57 pick.
Yeah.
They're doing things the right way. And with the new collective bargaining agreement that's going to be set very soon, you're not going to be able to have these super teams anymore. Like when guys get paid, that's it. You're not going to be able to spread the money around like we've seen in recent years where we saw KD with the Warriors and they went completely over the cap and stuff. You're not going to be allowed to do that. So teams like the Nuggets, they're going to thrive because they got a lot of guys who don't want the money, will take less money, just like Tim Duncan did.
Yeah, they want the jewelry. And now Joker is their jeweler, and he's got one. By the way, how about this number before we hit the break? Lowest drafted player ever to win a finals MVP. You've mentioned it. He was drafted 41st in the draft. The old record was Dennis Johnson, who was the finals MVP back in his Seattle championship.
Right.
He was drafted 29th.
Wow.
12 full spots. 41st in the draft is now the record for finals MVP, the latest drafted. And Joker just pulled that off too.
He didn't even think he was going to play in the NBA. Like he thought he would just have a European career his peers.
Is that right?
Yeah. He just thought, oh, okay, I'll probably play in Europe for my whole life. I'm good with that. I love it over here.
I'm going to do the first part of that Arvydas Sabonis career.
Yeah.
Right?
And then he got drafted, and then people in Serbia were like, yo, dude, you need to go over there. Like, you're pretty good. You need to go over there and just see what's up. And he was like, all right, I guess I'll go, and we'll see what happens. And now he's a 2-time MVP and an NBA champion.
Man, might buy a new horse. Might start buying a horse for every ring he gets.
Oh, man. Like, the only thing that the Nuggets have to worry about is his longevity because he'll always play with his Serbian national team. You cannot – I don't even think they're going to have that conversation with him because they don't want any bad blood or get on his bad side because you know how much Serbia means to him. He'll always play like if Serbia's in the FIBA World Cup coming up, I expect him to play just because that's the type of guy he is. He'll feel like he'll be letting his country down if he doesn't.
He jokingly said something last night about Malone giving him a little extra time off before next camp starts, and he meant it as a joke and nobody laughed or whatever, but I was thinking as he was saying it, I thought, I wonder if he's going to reference the international side of it at all. We'll have to see how that kind of works out scheduling-wise. By the way, before the break, somebody texted us, shooting in Denver after the Hoops game, was it Ja Morant, and was Ja at the celebration? Just unnecessary, totally unnecessary. And we do hope that those people are okay. Crazy scene last night. About, I think they said it was 3.5 hours after the game was over, something like that, when a shooting occurred and as many as 10 people were injured in that. Hope everybody is going to be all right. Coming up next, stems and seeds before we get out of here. The golf craziness of the week. We'll get you a couple notes there. I was just looking at some of the golfers that have already made comments as we get ready for the U.S. Open. We'll hit that, then we'll get you off to Ball Don't Lie right here on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Just about done on a Tuesday. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. No, I'm just kidding. That's not my guess. I just do not know who this is. Should I know this at all?
Nah.
It sounds like it's got a specific point, though. I do like that. I like a good focus song.
Oh, yeah.
Who is it?
Bubba Sparks.
Oh.
Featuring the Yin Yang Twins.
Okay.
College Park on the beat, a producer. Miss New Booty.
That's the name of it?
Yeah.
Miss New Booty. Bubba Sparks, Coolio, Roy Ayers, The Supremes, Talking Heads, and Frank Stallone all on the show today. Nowhere else are you going to hear a combo like that.
Yo, Chad,
Yeah.
Steph Curry will tell you, ain't nothing like a Miss New Booty.
Oh,
Catch my
wow. My God. Had the Jay-Z beat to start the hour. If you've just showed up on the show today and you're getting ready for Ball Don't Lie with Rod and Harge and Patrick, we discussed in Where We At in Society the rumor that is apparently going around that Steph Curry and his wife might be in some sort of open relationship. She apparently didn't help this discussion when she went on a talk show and made a reference to taking her ring off when an attractive shirtless man came out to serve them drinks. And she made that reference of, I might want to take my ring off. I thought she was just joking around, having a good time. Zay says with this rumor out there, it might change things for people.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know.
As Mr. Jokic and Murray and others are going to find out, people take these rings seriously, lots of different kind of rings. There are people that never take them off. Now, are you a wedding ring never comes off kind of guy?
Nah, I take it off when I get home.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, then you and I are the same that way. There are people that never take them off. They'll proudly tell you, I've been married for 38 years. It hasn't left my finger. And I'm like, you don't wash your finger? Isn't there some? And moreover, I'm like, wait, you mow the lawn with it on? You go play sports with it on? You do everything, eat ribs and all of it, and you never take it off to wash your hands?
Yeah, that's an issue.
But hey, everybody looks at it differently, and some people do see it as, no, it's not just the symbol, man. It's the symbol. It's got to stay on. It's been on. Like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they think if it comes off, divorce immediately.
Yeah, I tell people all the time. I've been married long enough to know a few things. One of them is a ring does not make you married.
No, don't.
I promise you that one. All right, let's get you stems and seeds. We'll talk a few things here, and then we'll get you off the Ball Don't Lie.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Rod, Harge, and Patrick coming up. Cannot wait to hear that breakdown of the Nuggets championship and the historic place that Jokic is trying to go. That's step one last night. Also, remember, Soccer Matters tonight at 7. Moved from yesterday. Glenn Davis and the Soccer Matters crew talking about everything going on in the beautiful game. All right, Zay, speaking of the beautiful game, well, no, it's a different beautiful game. Some think that golf is a beautiful game, I guess. A lot of folks commenting on the craziness in golf. John Rahm talking about we need to have faith in management. It's a bombshell. We're trying to wake up, and it's not easy to wake up to that bombshell. Colin Morikawa says we want to know the why. I think there's so many different parties involved. And then it comes to Brooks Koepka. I wasn't going to waste any time on news that happened last week. Like I said, I'm trying to focus on this week. I think that's why I've been really good at majors, honestly. It didn't matter to me. The rest of y'all at that tournament in LA this week, watch out. Because that guy, he's already, to me, he has solidified himself as the best of the era. But he still thinks y'all don't care about him. He still thinks you don't respect him. He's with Rory McIlroy, and I bet it pisses him off. Not because of the live stuff. Because he still thinks y'all like Rory more than you like him. Brooks Koepka at a major. Just watch out.
Yeah, he might show out. Because
everybody else has to answer these emotional questions. Don't you feel betrayed? Brooks is doing nothing but just grinding out on the practice tee.
Yeah, and talking to Cam Rogers, we know this course is going to be tough. It's a course that they're not used to playing, so somebody like him could definitely win this thing because he's on a roll, and sometimes it's just a matter of who's hot and who's not.
And could it be him? Or is it DeChambeau? Or is it Phil? Or is it Cam Smith? Is it one of these guys that is a live golfer and doesn't have all this weird pressure on him? All of a sudden, it's like flipped around. It's the PGA guys that are trying to come up to terms with all their feelings. And all these live guys were like, no, man, we sold our souls months ago.
Right?